we have a bid opening for the Highway Department, and it's for a 2017 hydrostatically driven four-wheel drive self-propelled chip spreader. And we only have one bid.
This is suspenseful when you just have one.
This is from Southeastern Equipment. And they are out of Fort Wayne. Okay, the bid is for one new 2017 Etner variable width chip spreader with a dual side operator for $267,008. 1 year warranty, 5 to 6 months delivery.
They didn't give a firm date on delivery.
Just says 150 to 180 days.
Is that enough time, Brandon?
No, we're gonna have to go with the original 90 to 120 that we were told.
Is anyone here from Southeastern?
Yeah.
Is that-
I'll have to get with them on that. I mean, we're gonna want it before 180 days.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
It's not possible, but.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we take the bid under advisement until Brandon's had an opportunity to review it.
Okay, we've got a motion to keep it under advisement till Brandon reviews. Do I have a second?
Second,
Got a
for
second?
discussion purposes.
Okay, discussion?
This advisement will have to be another 2 weeks for meeting. That's gonna push it back some more?
I could, try and reach out to them and speak with their representatives and maybe try and make some phone calls. Get back with you by the time I'm on the agenda towards the end.
That would speed things up for you.
I would rescind my motion.
Well, it's still good motion. If we just,
Well,
to the end of the meeting,
yeah.
we're taking it under advisement.
yeah, and I had really not thought, we only have the one bid, so we just have a question on that bid.
Okay, we got a motion, we got a second. Any further discussions? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same. Okay, we'll continue our regular meeting with Dan Sigler, our county attorney.
Thank you. I have a question. We got a claim in a claim form, a tort claim, that caught my eye. It has been referred on to the carrier, I believe, but I don't know if you guys saw this one, but it's a Blackburn and Green case, and they allege this is a motor vehicle accident that took place on 30, and unlike most of these where there's no clue as to why they might have named the county, this one I'm just wondering about because it was at the intersection of Wolf Road, and they said there's NDOT and Whitley County was doing work out on 30.
That was just all NDOT.
That's what I wondered.
Yeah.
Okay, so, because otherwise, maybe there'd be some concern about that. You really might need Brandon or somebody to look into, but if it's just NDOT, okay. That answers my question. See, we have, Brandon and I have been working on a contract revocation with Cintas that we got a litigation letter on, and so I'm letting you absorb it, and I'll talk to you about it at the next meeting, but I'll send you an email with what my suggestions are for a response. But basically, I guess I want to do due diligence to make sure that you guys didn't know anything about these. And you can take your choice of which contract they want to enforce, one of the two that's copied there. But I don't think those, I know those weren't ever reviewed by me. I don't know if they were ever approved by the commissioners, but I guess we better check that out. If you can maybe look at those two, and let me give you, I have a letter for you too, that you can see if there was any approval of those at the date. The one goes all the way back to 2011.
Okay.
The contracts should be attached to the back. Yeah, they are. They're to the back of that. So there is that. We have a couple of, this Winger case we talked about today, and or you inquired of me, and we just got that signed today, so I'll get that to him. The other thing is the Diamond Street property is still in the air because we don't know if the owner has signed that agreement on the back taxes, but that's signed by you guys and that's in his hands, so that's the only things that I have that are really now pending.
The ordinance that I gave you.
Oh, yeah, and then we have the ordinance that I did approve from Jim. And that's on the approving the claims, I guess, after the signing of the agreement. Okay, yeah. And I think that's, a lot of the counties have this ordinance, we just didn't seem to have it, so
Okay.
I'm good with that.
Essentially, the ordinance was designed to keep from paying late fees and finance charges.
What's the number on this one?
14.
Correct.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Is this ready for approval today? I so move we approve ordinance 2017-02 as presented.
Give it a motion to approve 2017-02 regarding single signature for the claims. We've got a second. Any further discussions? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same. Thank you.
So, Brandon, do you want to discuss any of this that you gave me at this, right now, on that parcel? No?
I would say no, not today.
Okay.
It was just they're asking for you to consent to those forms and a couple other things.
Yeah. Do you have the answer on the partial release of mortgage?
I have never heard of that.
Yeah, so I don't know what they mean by that, so we're going to have to figure that out. Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
Okay. Tom, do you have anything for the?
No, I don't have any other questions this time.
Thank you, sir. Good. Okay, next we're going to take Jason Spencer, vehicle update and stipend pay.
Jason, you have changed.
Well, I'm going to start with the vehicle, and then he's going to go to the stipend. What I'm coming in front of you today is to request right now you own a 2010 Chevy that we use for the drug task force. It's a pickup truck. Over the years, those vehicles get compromised by using them for the drug world. What I'm requesting is we have the authority to look into a program of trading that vehicle in and getting a different vehicle, and any difference in the amount I would pay for out of the commissary budget. And I would like to implement this program with your guys' approval to do it every year and a half, 2 years, whenever we think that vehicle's been burnt or is compromised. So I'm requesting the permission to look around for the best value we can get. And the vehicles we're going to enter into this program from now on buying will be used vehicles. We'll not be purchasing brand new. We'll be looking for like freshly off-lease vehicles for another year or two and continue and see if it works out or not.
Where will you go for just locally to look for?
We'll start locally. With everything else, you guys know we're going to have to try to get the best money for that vehicle, but yeah, we'll start locally. If not, we'll go to one of our vendors, probably that we buy the police vehicles from new.
The damage, so-called damage or whatever, that's compromised vehicle, as you use, how bad is that going to hurt your resale value?
It's compromised as in the undercover portion of it of buying either drugs or surveillance out of, because after a while,
Everybody knows it.
everybody gets to know what vehicle
I
it
guess
is.
I'm concerned about a year and a half. That seems like a long time. It's a pretty small county.
Without going too in-depth, we do have other vehicles that the drug task force owns that we can use too.
Okay.
So we rotate them.
So you'd think a year and a half is a good,
Honestly, Don, I'm hoping for that. It may not work out, but yeah, that's what I'm
yeah,
shooting for.
because you don't, if it gets compromised pretty quick,
And usually we,
game off.
I hate to say it, but usually we know, somebody will tell us, that we're
Sure,
using tells us
sure,
it's been
sure.
compromised, so.
But you'll make a certain basket full of cases.
Correct.
And so the defendants won't really know unless they figure it out a different way, because they won't be charged for probably months after investigation. Or is this just keep flowing from one arrest
It keeps
to the
flowing. It could be,
Okay.
they could be charged quickly, or it could be an
Okay.
ongoing
All right,
investigation.
so you don't withhold all of the warrants necessarily until you get the investigation?
Correct.
Okay.
It's by case, so.
Is that a half-ton truck? Is it?
Yes, it's a
Okay.
1500.
Okay. Thinking about for Mike Knafel, but he needs a 3/4 ton at least.
Right.
Do I have a motion?
I move we approve the sheriff's request.
Second.
Got a motion and we got a second to approve the request to trade vehicles within every 1.5 years. Any further discussions? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Jason?
Just real quick, Justin Yeagle was the newest merit officer to be put on as additional officer approved from last year, so all I'm asking is for the stipend program to be applied to Justin Yeagle.
Are you
I'll
talking
be
about cell
effective-
phone?
Yes,
Okay.
February 1st. We'll go there because it was mid-January when he got started, so February 1st, and I've already spoken to Pam on this, so just want to make it presented to you guys,
Okay.
so.
Motion to approve.
Got a motion, we got a second. Any further discussions? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same. That was easy.
Jason, you got him scheduled for the academy or anything?
No, we won't do that till fall, plus the Academy Highly didn't have their schedule out yet. The only one they have is the spring one out right now, so we're in there checking to make sure, because they usually fill up pretty fast, and seats go quick, and I don't want to be on the reserve list, but probably towards fall.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, Scott Wagner, ordinance review and Cohasset Sewer.
Sorry about being late there. So let's go with the ordinance first. That's pretty quick. You should have all gotten an email from that. As state law changes, we try to keep up with this current state law, so, because our ordinance amends the state law into that. And I sent a copy to Dan, and basically all we're changing, according to the 2011 septic ordinance, is just the number of the state law. So So there's two state laws, 6-8.3, which is residential, and 6-10.1, which is commercial. And they're referenced in our ordinance in several different locations. And all we're doing is upgrading that, because in 2011, that was not the state law. I did make contact with the State Department of Health. They said they no longer review county ordinances to see whether they comply. That's up to the county and their legal department. So, far as we made no other changes to the current ordinance except to ask that you amend the 2011 ordinance to include those new state numbers. So if we ever have to go to court or something, we can reference that.
So I'd make a motion that we approve the ordinance with the changes in the law numbers.
Got a motion?
Second.
Got a second? Discussion? The only thing I have, I'm being very picky about, section 11, perimeter drains, it says a 4-inch sock wrapped file tile instead
that?
of field tile.
Okay, it says file instead of tile?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll make that change.
Sorry.
I'll make that change and I'll give it to Jana, then we can have it recorded.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same.
Okay. As far as Cohasset Sewer, we've been talking about this for quite a bit. It's my understanding that the school board is allowing us to connect to their drainage catch basin. Is that correct, George? The school board
Yes.
has changed their.
Well, it hasn't been formally approved yet, but
As long as
informally
they get it
approved.
indemnify to hold harmless, they're
Right.
going to be allowed us.
Right.
I have contacted Mr. Wygant. I contacted Mr. Wygant, and he is getting quotes. I contacted him last Friday. Is pretty sure that the amount for the directional drilling will be much less than the amount approved by the redevelopment commission, which is $8,000. He did indicate that they will have to, at least one location, either pothole or dig a spot of asphalt out of their driveway to determine the depth of their three-phase electrical wire, so that we're not gonna bore into that. I imagine we'll be much lower at 5 foot starting out than that wire is, but just, the guy wants to make sure he's not gonna blow himself up with three-phase, so.
Good idea.
And I do need a hold harmless on that, because it will be from the county rather than redevelopment, I think. So if you could come up with some, they just want, we won't come back on them. It's just connecting to the sewer drain is all we're doing.
I'll talk to you about it.
Stormwater drain, yeah.
Stormwater.
Yeah, it's just stormwater is all it is.
All right, I just need the parties and
Okay, I'll send it to you.
send it to me and I'll do that.
Yep. I'll send the legal descriptions.
Perfect, yeah.
Anything else you want to know about that? I've asked him to start looking at a Saturday to do that, because there might be a partial road closement there, at least around the house, some cones up. Do that on Saturday, that we're not impending traffic for a school and things like that. So he's looking at a schedule and getting quotes, so.
Good.
Keep us posted.
Okay.
Thank you, Scott.
The last thing that I have is just, the health department is redoing a branding of the health department. We come up with a new logo, we've had shirts and coats redone. We'd like to put a white etched copy of what this looks like on the two doors for the health department. If you would allow us permission to do that, it shouldn't block the view looking out or looking in. But this is the national symbol for public health, and we kind of add our little touch to that, and try to, for accreditation, kind of put our logo out there. If it's okay with you, we'll have that done, and.
It's good.
Okay, guys?
Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Scott.
The only thing I had on the Quincy thing, remember you took this to redevelopment, and they said it needs to be commissioners. So here we are, this is getting fully pre-K.
Okay.
Okay, go and see.
One thing, as part of the Cohasset,
Yes.
I think we as commissioners approved the exploratory excavation at Cohasset. And so redevelopment was asking that we pay that part of it, the $900, and they'll pay the $8,000, up to $8,000.
The commissioners approved the 571 and some change for Mr. Downing. That check was sent out last week.
Right.
And then this is the exploratory that was initially done by Mr. Wajid and determined that we can't hook on at the existing.
Okay.
His initial quote was 1,500, so,
Yeah. Motion to approve the bill. Is that Premier Earth then?
yes.
Okay. A motion to approve the bill from Premier Earth for $907.75.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussions? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same.
I'm gonna take this at the table really quick, so she can pay.
Okay.
I'll be right back.
Is that in the pot, though, that we're trying to get refunded?
Yes,
You win with
yeah.
everything
Yeah,
else?
we'll keep
Yep.
track, I'll keep at least track of all the amount that we
Yeah.
do.
Okay.
So, and again, I have not heard from GAI since the last time I talked to them, and Crosby.
Dan, you've heard nothing from anyone about the refunding?
No.
Okay.
Mr. Boxberger, is that his name for the redevelopment? What's?
Andrew, yeah.
Andrew.
Andy,
I
yeah.
sent him the information for them. If he requests anything else, I'll be sure to help him on that. so.
Anything further for Scott?
Nope.
Thank you, Scott. Mark Sturdivant, replacing the courthouse heat pumps.
I'm here today to request a favorable recommendation to take to the council, a request for $45,000 to replace 5 heat pumps this year in the courthouse. We originally in 14 had talked about replacing 2 a year, and we've been doing that, but I'm having more and more of them fail on me, and we're spending more and more money on keeping them up and running. So I'd like to up that to 5 this year and 5 next year.
Mark, how many has already been replaced?
We have replaced a total of 5. We've added one additional from what used to be in the building, so we've got
Yeah,
6
that's
new
right.
ones in, out of 19. And depending on, there's 2 different styles in the courthouse right now. There's 3-ton units and 5-ton units. And the 3 tons are running about 6,600, and the 5 tons are running about 8,400. But depending on the particular unit and the discharge, there's some additional costs in the ductwork. You're doing the ductwork, so.
What's the expected life on those?
Expected lifespan of a heat pump is 10 to 15 years. We're running 26 years on those right now.
That quote, what size were those?
One of each,
Oh, okay.
3-ton and a 5-ton.
Well, you said 5 of them. 5 units?
You're looking for permission to buy 5 units.
Correct.
What, were they different sizes?
Right now, all I want to replace are the 2 that are giving me the most trouble. But I want permission as they go out to go ahead and replace the other 3. It could be a 3-ton, it could be a 5-ton.
Okay.
I don't know
Oh,
yet.
that's what I was,
Okay.
Mark, since we've got 18 of those, is there a better way to do that? Is there a more efficient way at all?
I suppose we get a price break if we ask them to quote the remainder.
I guess I was
Buy them all at
thinking
once,
more of another process or another type of heating and cooling unit.
but Actually, that is, for that building, that is the absolute most efficient and the best way to heat and cool that building.
I move we give them a favorable pass for 5 heat pump units.
Okay, we got a favorable pass motion. We've got a second. Any further discussions? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same. I'll be at council tomorrow also.
Okay. Thank you, John.
Thank you. Todd Geiger, Whitley County 4-H Program Update.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. I'm here today just to kind of give everyone kind of a overview of our 4-H program and kind of an update on where we're currently at here in Whitley County with our 4-H youth program. The sheet that I gave you, just there at the top is just really a brief program overview of what 4-H is. The traditional 4-H program is open to any kids, 3rd grade all the way up through 12th grade. We do here in Whitley County have a mini 4-H program, which includes kids that are kindergarten age up through 2nd grade. In the past, with the 4-H programs across the state, in order to be in our county's 4-H program, you had to be a resident here. That is no longer true. They kind of really opened the borders similar to what they did with school districts. You don't have to be a resident here in Whitley County to be part of the Whitley County 4-H program. So currently, or these are last year's numbers, we actually had around 50 kids who actually lived outside of Whitley County that were part of our 4-H program. And believe it or not, we actually have a couple families that live out of state that travel here to be a part of our 4-H program, and they exhibit their projects here during the week of the county fair over the summer. The next section is some past data for you. In 2015-16, we had 748 kids that took part in the Whitley County 4-H program. 631 of them were part of the traditional 4-H, so we're talking 3rd graders up through 12th grade. And then we had 117 kids that were part of the mini 4-H, so kindergarten through 2nd grade. We also had 189 adult volunteers, and those would be adults that actually came into our office and filled out paperwork so that we could do background screening on them as well to be a part of our program. And then, so all of those adult leaders could have been anything from a club leader, board members, any volunteer that could have assisted either during the week of the fair or assisted with a club or with any sort of project club. We have a total of 36 clubs here in Whitley County 4-H. 15 of these are our township clubs. So these would be the clubs that kids typically in the past, if you lived, for example, in Etna Troy Township, you'd go to one of the Etna Troy Township 4-H clubs. Those clubs are simply where the 4-Hers and 4-H families would gather their information, general information about 4-H. Lots of educational activities, fun activities for the kids to be a part of. Those typically meet once to twice a month. Some of ours meet a little bit more often than that. And then we have 21 project-based clubs. So this could be a livestock project, or this could be a non-livestock project-based club. Those are a lot more specialized. Those are clubs that are meeting with a specific interest in mind and really kind of walk those kids, whether they be 3rd graders or be a senior in high school, to help them in that particular project. In this past year in 4-H, we offered right here in Whitley County 56 different projects that kids could participate in. Of those 56, this is one of the number one questions I usually ask as I've traveled around the county. When I ask when you hear the word 4-H, what do you think of? And the number one answer, of course, is animals. Well, believe it or not, out of our 56 projects that we offered last year, only 11 of those are livestock related or even animal related. So which actually means we offer 5 times more projects that are non-livestock related than what are. Part of this obviously is because when you visit any county 4-H fair, you'll see that the grounds are taken up by 75% of that space is consumed by those 11 projects, which are livestock related. On the backside, here's some new things that we're doing here in Whitley County with our 4-H program. This coming year, we are kicking off with some non-traditional workshop style clubs. The first one is junior beekeepers. I promoted this there's been quite an interest in Whitley County in beekeeping. And if you kind of follow the trend, not only in the United States, but really around the world, beekeeping has really become a huge concern. We're losing pollinators at an alarming rate. So it's not just an interest here in Whitley County, but really globally. So I had a group of adults that are part of the Michiana Beekeepers Association right here in Whitley County. They were super excited to be able to share some of their interest and passion for beekeeping with the kids, so we promoted this. We have 9 kids signed up, and they just started meeting here a little over a week ago. And they're going to meet from January, and they're going to run it clear through September, October-ish. Going to try to really give the kids a lot of neat hands-on experience. We're hoping to get them out as the weather warms up to a hive, and then as the summer moves on, to get them in and watch the process of collecting honey, and then what they do to actually harvest the honey once they collect it. It's not as simple as go out to the hive and get it, and it all of a sudden ends up in a jar. So that's a neat opportunity for our kids. Also, the other one that's getting ready to start actually tomorrow night is robotics. Robotics is a huge growing industry worldwide, but there's getting to be a lot more, obviously, technology seen in schools and what kids know and can do with technology. So we're kicking off a robotics club. The leader is a current Columbia City High School teacher. She taught robotics in her high school class. I believe she leads the project in the high school called Project Lead the Way for Columbia City High School. She is going to be using Lego Robotics to kick this off, which is geared more towards your elementary, middle school age kids. So we were going to take up to 15 kids. Right now we stand at 14, so we only have 1 slot left, which is great. The other 2, those are going to get kicked off here in the next month, a month and a half. One of them is called Growing Gardeners. That one's going to be taught by current Whitley County Master Gardeners. And the other one, Whitley County Junior Barnstormers, which is a focus on UAVs, so unmanned aerial vehicles. There's a group of about 60 adults here in Whitley County that form the Whitley County Barnstormers. And if all of you know where the former Whitley County dump is located, up off 500 north of Columbia City, they fly up there nearly every weekend over the summer. They have an airstrip. They fly remote-controlled airplanes, drones, things like that. And so they're simply wanting to share their passion of aeronautics and remote control with those kids. Other new ones that we're going to add to our traditional 4-H program, we're going to implement a food barbecue grilling project where we're going to have an actual barbecue grilling contest during the week of the fair for the kids. A recycling project, which is not quite what it may sound like. That's not recycling on knowing what items you can recycle and what you can't, but this would be more of a repurposing. So taking something and then actually changing its use altogether and using it for something it wasn't originally created for. Aquatic science. My goal here is to maybe get kids that don't see themselves as 4-Hers, which is really kind of a big struggle that's kind of out there to try to find that new demographic for us. But kids that don't live out on a farm, I'm not from the country, so I'm not really a 4-Her, but with aquatic science, hey, it's kids that like fish and they have an aquarium at home and they've learned things through that. So that's what aquatic science is, where kids get to share what they've learned through having a fish tank. Well, tell us about that. And the other new one, shooting sports has been around for decades in 4-H. In Whitley County, we've always offered archery, but we've never offered any other discipline. So we had some adults that have went through training through Purdue for the BB rifle discipline. And so we're going to be able to offer that this year. Last check on Friday, last year we had 30 kids involved in shooting sports, and when I checked on Friday, we're already up to 51. So which is a huge increase in shooting sports. So the other new program that we're kicking off this year is called 4-H STEM Connection. This is where we're taking a STEM program.
Great.
In conjunction with our junior leaders. Those would be basically our high school age 4-Hers that are interested and have a passion to be a leader when they become an adult and they're on a 4-H. So we look in areas of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. They come up with some fun activities, and we take it to an elementary school. We really kind of let those elementary schools pick which grade level would you like for us to work with. We put together activities. They usually span 20 to 30 minutes an activity. It seems to work well if we have 3 activities, so that way we can kind of give them an hour to an hour and a half of our time. We went to Northern Heights Elementary here north of town back in November. They loved it. We took the program to 190 kids. Teachers loved it. Principal loved it. This was during the school day. Columbia City High School principal and the Whitco principal fully on board on letting those high schoolers out to be our teens as teachers. They said, this is really an experience that our schools today don't give these kids to actually do hands-on and actually do the teaching with kids in those areas of STEM. Our next one is actually scheduled for this Friday. We're going up to Cherubusco Elementary. We've kind of increased our numbers of junior leaders that are going to go along as well as adults. We're going to have around 200 kids, second and third graders, and instead of 3 activities, we're going to take them 6. So we're going to do 3 with second grade and 3 totally different ones with third grade. So lots of interest from the other schools. We're currently trying to set a date with Kawasi and the other ones. So that's kind of a really quick, fast update and kind of overview of the 4-H program. So if you got any questions?
involved.
Yeah. If you guys got any questions, I'd be more than happy to.
Tom?
No, I don't have any questions, just appreciate it, Todd. What have you been there about a little less than a year, and things, a lot of new activities going on. It's really encouraging.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Todd.
Thank you.
Nathan Bilger, approval and acceptance of a partial replat of Magic Hills Estates.
Something that you approve it.
You understand
This is a replat of the old Magic Hills Golf Course. It creates 2 additional building lots and increases the size of 3 of the existing ones. If you didn't know, Magic Hills is, the current owner is planning to demolish it and return it back to farmland. These 2 new lots are in an area that they couldn't use for farming, so they decided to create 2 building lots out of it. This went through the Plan Commission, I believe in December, and passed with some conditions which have been addressed in the revised plat that's before you. One thing of note is that there is a non-access easement along the county road, so no driveways would be accessed directly off the county road from, I forget which lot number it is, but the one adjacent to the county road down there. This would all be on sanitary sewer through the Conservancy District. Because there are no public improvements being built, no bonds are being required. There is a portion of right-of-way that is being dedicated as part of this along the county road.
So our lots 30 and 31, the new lots?
Yes, 30 and 31 are the new ones. The ones labeled with, I think it's 17, 18, 19A, those are the extended lots.
Oh, they just made those larger.
Yes.
Okay, so, but then they'll all be accessed off of that Virginia Trail.
Yep.
Okay.
I move we approve the replat.
I'll second just for a question.
And a motion and a second for discussion.
So why is there a septic system easement for lot 28 and approximate septic field?
That is a good question. Apparently, when that house went in, The soils were not good enough to locate the septic system on the lot itself, so they struck a deal with the golf course, because that was where their clubhouse was, to locate it on the golf course area. And they do have an easement as part of that, which is existing, and it carries forward through the plat.
But they're using sanitary sewers.
That one, I can't remember if they have been converted over to sanitary or not yet. I think they are I think they're still on septic, they're investigating switching over to sanitary.
So that septic field, what lot does that serve then? On the other side of Virginia Trail?
Correct.
28.
Yes, that's their finger system that, they've got the pipe that goes under the road and then the finger system.
But you think it's still in use?
I believe it's still in use, yes.
Public sewer is still available right there, though.
Yes.
And
I'm thinking.
it is, it's available to that point.
I think you'd rather just sign over there, so. That's all I had when I asked.
Any further discussions? All those in favor for approval, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same.
Thank you.
Tom, you got the pen?
Pardon me?
Pen's right here. With that pen. Nathan's very particular about the pen that you use.
Yes. This one actually writes.
That's pretty amazing.
It's a long time to find one that actually.
Oh, boy, it does. Yeah. Sometimes you sign them and go, where's my signature? Thank you.
Here, let him have this pen.
Oh, here. Nathan, you're gonna take that back with you.
Oh, yeah, you'll need that again someday.
Give you the cap, will you? Too? Not just the pen, but the cap.
He'll be back. I'd have been able to sell it to him.
That's right.
Okay, next on the agenda is John Myers, Broadband Internet Project.
So, yes, so I've been working with the redevelopment commission, the mayor's office, and George, Commissioner Schrumpf, off and on here for the last year, trying to put together a project to bring fiber optic internet infrastructure to the county. And we're getting closer to that, although the city is still in some negotiations having to do with maintenance agreements and pole attachments and that sort of thing. But as you may have seen from the memo that I prepared for the county council tomorrow, the redevelopment commission has recommended a 100% 10-year tax abatement to be adopted by the county council, and that was in lieu of doing a TIF district to specially accommodate this infrastructure and pay for it. So instead of a 20-year tax, or excuse me, a 20-year TIF district with all the $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 in attorney fees to put that in place. It was just a lot cheaper and
Good Lord, attorneys make
I
that.
know.
Oh, it's awesome.
It's all the rich guys in Indianapolis, right, Dan?
It is not me.
It
John, just a minute. The city would have to do their own their own abatements?
Their own abatements, and they would contribute some seeded funds as well to help.
I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah. So what this will do, this particular piece will bring the backbone, the internet backbone from Roanoke up some combination of County Line 700 East, 600 East, up to the Rail Connect Park, serve the, really all of the businesses along 600 East, and then go across to the west along Lincoln Way using REMC or pole attachments with the REMC for their fiber. It's my understanding, talking to Greg Keese at the REMC, that agreement is already in place, and again, simply awaiting this. The kind of a long-term plus, well, that gets the fiber into the city, and then, whatever the city agrees to, but a long-term plus is the REMC is also working closely with with MetroNet, the company, to see what they can do then to take the fiber out elsewhere within the county, any place within the county that's served by REMC Electric. Also, they've been discussing this with the school because apparently they can provide better service for less price than what the school system's currently getting. So it works on a lot of different levels. It's just getting all the pieces together, and that's the kind of the hard part here.
John, could you explain to everyone what the need is and the benefits for existing businesses and for you trying to recruit other business into the area?
Sure. So the current speeds that are available with current providers are in the neighborhood of anywhere from 5 to 25 megabits per second in speed. This project will take it up to a gigabyte, so that's 100 times 10 megabytes. So, and this is important, particularly to our manufacturing industry and our logistics industries, because they're becoming more and more dependent on the ability to get data back and forth. The old days of blueprints being mailed from one place to the other or delivered from one place to the other just isn't, that's just not the way business is done anymore. So, if our businesses have to wait a half hour for the blueprint to download or to make changes and ship the blueprint back to the designer and then come back, it just takes a lot of time. Wabash County, Huntington County have done something similar here in the last year and a half. And so they have a bit of a competitive advantage in terms of the infrastructure that they currently have in place. And so, again, if we're trying to attract, good paying manufacturing jobs that use this, it can be, puts us at a bit of a disadvantage, at least on that part of the infrastructure.
It sounds like you generically didn't include SDI. Sounds like you're going south and west of them.
Well, yeah, so it'll come to the west of SDI, and these folks are willing to go to SDI if they decide that they want it or need the service.
They haven't asked for it.
Well, and they currently get similar speed service across the Allen County line.
I see. Okay.
So, now, the good thing is once we get this in place, it would give them a second or third option if they wanted to build redundancy into their systems. They'd still have that same high levels.
And did I read in the paper where the city was physically having problems with them?
Not
MetroNet?
Not that I'm aware of.
No, okay.
They've had a lot of discussions about what the service will include, what the levels of services should be. Primarily, the issues have been around what they want the city, or what the company wants the city to do to make sure that that their poles are their electric poles are maintained, and, so all of this would really be subject to the city getting all of that worked out, but we don't want to have to come back to everybody.
Something else then, I'm sorry.
And I don't know that there's really, not necessarily asking for anything, other than just wanting to bring you guys up to speed, and like I said, I need to present the tax abatement request to the council tomorrow.
But undertaking like this, there's a ton of hoops to jump through it. It just takes a long time to get it all worked out.
And I think we need to disclose also that there's a possibility that we'll be coming to commissioners for a $50,000 acceded payment to start the program, and at the end, another $50,000 out of seeded funds.
Correct, yeah. So the redevelopment commission has committed to $100,000 in redevelopment funds, $100,000 this year and $100,000 next year. And again, assuming that the city approves, we'd ask that the commissioners commit $50,000 this year and $50,000 next year for, again, to help build out the infrastructure.
I get confused about where we're given an abatement on personal property.
Right.
No, there's no land, there's no buildings. So where I get confused, John, is in the realm of utilities. Are they assessed by the state of Indiana, or are they assessed by, we kind of got into this with wind turbine generators a few years ago. You know, and you find out that, well, we wouldn't get all the revenue because the state controls some utility revenue. So is that something that should be checked out before you, I mean, we may give them an abatement they don't need or can't use with the state, I don't know.
Better yet.
So I guess the question is, who controls the personal property assessments of this property? That's really the question.
Yeah, so they had filed an SB1 with the county for an equipment abatement, which is basically the cable and any.
Sure.
But, yeah, it's a good question.
I thought utilities were handled by the state,
I'll-
not by the county.
But I'll check with them on that.
Any other questions for John?
Not on that subject. Can I ask another question?
Sure.
Have you been contacted by a gentleman from Cherubusco about building space he has available? Mr. Keister?
Oh, no.
I'll talk to you about it afterward. I gave him all of
Okay.
your contact
Okay,
information.
okay, yeah, just let me know, and I need to go up there for a couple things anyway, so
He
I'll
has
stop.
some building space available.
Excellent,
so.
because we're running a little low on building space. Okay. Yep.
Thank you, John.
Yep, thanks.
Jessica, finally. This is Jessica Grossman from Region 3A.
Hi. You're gonna sit?
Yeah,
stand?
sure.
I
You
can
betcha.
do whatever. I talked to Commissioner Trump last week, wasn't it? And he asked that I come by and maybe give an update on kind of what we do, what we're all about, and what we can do here in Whitley County, maybe a little bit better or more of. So Region 3A is a 6-county regional planning commission. We began well, I guess we were formed in 1974. I think we actually started as 4 counties and then added Huntington possibly, and then added Wabash in 2010. So I was not around in 1974 in any sense of the term, so I don't have any idea, other than what I can find in our files. So, anyway, we specialize, we have a 7 person, staff, and we specialize in community development, economic development, transportation, and housing. So our 6 counties, it's Huntington, Wabash, Whitley, LaGrange, Noble, and Steuben. If you look at the bigger picture of regional organizations, we really are more of the behind-the-scenes technical assistance arm of what goes on, and a lot of work that we do. We do work with counties, we work with cities, but a lot of what we do is with smaller towns and townships. So providing that technical assistance that they either otherwise could not afford or they couldn't handle in-house. A lot of the services that we provide are free of charge or very reduced from either a private consultant or an engineering firm. We also hold contracts with INDOT to do traffic counts and certain studies and different things for non-state-owned roads. And so we come out and we handle that directly with INDOT, but we come out into the county and do those as well. I guess Don is our representative on our executive board and full board of directors. So every month we meet and go through financials and claims and all of that stuff. I do have some information that I can just leave with you. Some things that I pulled from a couple different applications about our organization. Don, I can just email it to you, but I have copies for the other 2. If you want to look at it, I am more than happy to answer any questions or help understand a little bit better. I will say that one of the things that we also are is an economic development district. What that means, that's through the federal EDA, Economic Development Administration. So we are designated as an economic development district, which qualifies our 6 counties for opportunities for funding through the EDA that otherwise they would not have, and then prioritizes them ahead of some funding opportunities. Even if you're not in EDD, you can apply, but you don't get the same priority. We also can serve as an organization or agency to provide a more competitive application on certain USDA programs that are now putting regional as a priority, so it needs to be some type of a regional project. So we do a lot of grant writing, we do a lot of grant services, so administration, or sometimes it's just a matter of going into a smaller community and helping them pull all the pieces together. And those are services that we don't charge for, but technically are compensated for underneath a grant through the EDA. So as we're an economic development district, each of the counties has a certain amount of money that they pay to the agency. That's not a dues per se. That's something that I think has been a little bit misconstrued over the last couple of years. We don't charge. We are a quasi-governmental entity, so we're audited as if we were a city or town or anything else. So we're not a for-profit. But what that money goes for is it's a matching amount that goes to match an EDA grant that we have. So it's a 50-50, but each of our counties contributes as a match to what we get from the federal EDA to provide those services for smaller communities free of charge. So like the town of Orland, last year we helped them with an application for INDOT's Community Crossing Grant. Spent a significant amount of time, but because of our funding, we didn't have to charge them a fee to do that, and those are the things that really make a difference. We are actually starting conversations with the town of Larwell for some, hopefully a project that's going to be moving forward here soon. So
what I think is important is, and what kind of predicated this was redevelopment has always paid, and I want to go back to what you said.
Yep.
We don't pay dues.
Right.
We don't pay dues, but we do pay our share towards a grant. It's much like the seeded money we give Whitley County Council on Aging every year. We don't just give them money. That's our match towards INDOT grants, and
Right.
It's the same thing here. This is our match towards the EDA.
Right.
So we don't pay dues per se. We
Mm-hmm.
pay our assessment towards the financial match.
Right.
Jessica, what has happened in Whitley County you've had no control over? I want to make sure everybody understands that. But your predecessors had. Her predecessors who ran Region 3A didn't do a very good job. And so I know in Whitley County, for an example, but I can only speak of Whitley County, so we went out and got our own grant administrator. Yes, we couldn't wait on her predecessors to help us. We went out and so now we're kind of locked in. So our need for Region 3A isn't quite as big as some of the other counties are. But I personally don't think that means that we shouldn't probably pay our fair share of the appropriation, and we can utilize their services. The other thing, and you have a document somewhere, Jessica, that lists all the things you do. Housing rehabilitation. There's a ton of things that Region 3A can do. It isn't just grant administration.
Yep.
And I think it would be good probably to make sure these guys get
Yeah,
those
absolutely.
documents.
Yep.
So,
And I think from my perspective, I think it's more of a matter of partnering with the county or some people from the county a little bit more closely to see how we can maybe redefine the relationship that Region 3A has with the county, because I don't think, if I showed you the list of all the projects that we have in the works right now, every county has different types of projects and different mixes of what we're doing at any given time. I think it's just a matter of finding where that fit is. I don't think that it's not there. I think it's just a matter of kind of reevaluating or reassessing the opportunities that we have to work together, in which services the county would gain more benefit from. So.
I guess my question is, why haven't we taken advantage if there are so many different programs up to this point? Why haven't we taken advantage of anything?
I think there's probably several different answers or reasons why not. I think part of it was just a lack of communication between different parties. I think you have some people who come in and build really quick, fast relationships with certain people, and then they get kind of pulled in that direction. And I think that that's just not, it's just kind of I don't know. I think that it's a multifaceted answer, but.
well, I don't think her predecessors did a very good job of selling to the counties. And I think she's probably learning, I hope she's learning that she has to. She has to get out here to the counties.
Yep.
And we have to know what's available, because quite frankly, there's those among us that don't want to pay the assessment,
Right. And the other thing that we want to look at is, where do you guys have needs? Because I think that we could be able to service those needs and help out with things that you do struggle with as a county. We just need to figure out how to identify those. And maybe it's more housing than it is some of the other programs that we have. Maybe it's more transportation, or maybe it's a totally different area that you think that we don't do, or that we don't necessarily do right now. That doesn't mean that we can't figure something out or find a program that we can kind of pair the county or another entity within the county up with to move forward.
So I think the most immediate need for Whitley County is to know exactly what Region 3A can do. And then we can decide we're in or we're out. So, am I right? I mean,
Yeah,
we need to know
we just
what's
need to
out
know the
there.
value.
Right,
It's-
absolutely.
Yeah,
I can.
and not only us, the council's got to approve this
Yeah.
money.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's who
I
you
think
got.
you're going to meet with the council in the morning then?
I'm not on their agenda this week because I have conflicting appointments, but
Okay.
I was planning to get on their agenda after I met with you guys.
Okay. And I think that's very important because, again, there are some that question the value. And
Yep. Well, and I would think it'd be more concerning if you didn't. I mean, you're dealing with taxpayer
Right.
dollars, you should, question that. And, yeah, absolutely. So, again, if there's something that you have questions about or specific projects that you wonder whether or not there are resources out there, please reach out and we'll do our best.
Well, I think the document they need to see the most is the one, the multi-page of all the things we do. And the other is for everyone, and this holds true when you get, before you go to council too, I would advise sending it out to them.
Okay.
But what's available and what we're doing right now, what Region 3A is doing right now, because
Right.
it's a fairly good-sized list.
Oh, yeah.
There just doesn't happen to be anything in Whitley County on the list.
Right, right. And I think that part of it is maybe even just looking at what we're doing other places and saying, oh, that's something
have
that we
that
need
same
here.
need.
Right,
Yep.
right. Yep.
Yep.
So, but I have this for you guys if you wanna, are there any other questions?
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Jessica.
You know, I
Appreciate
share
you
it with
coming.
you, 'cause you know I have.
Thank you.
Yep, and there's that for you. There's that
All
for
right,
you.
thanks.
And like I said, if there's anything that comes to mind after, the meeting today or, even next week, just give me a call or, email and be happy to.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, we've got something from the DNR that Dan's going to have to deal with here. We got it's regards to the transfer of Camp Samaritan from the county to DNR, and it's a quitclaim deed, and I thought we had that all taken care of at one time, but
Well, the state moves slowly. But
2 years?
Yeah, but I noticed on the letterhead, the new Governor Holcomb's name is on there, so I'm going to give him all the credit and say I'm really on board with Governor Holcomb if he can finally bring this to an end, so, yeah. I looked at it, it's all normal stuff, I thought it was all taken care of.
I did too.
We did too.
And the gentleman that I've been talking to on this is short-term. He's going to be leaving, and he's just trying to get this off of his desk right now.
Well, I'm all for Governor Holcomb now, because I'm a supporter. But the one thing I did notice in there that I had a question about was it has a clause in there about taxes. Have there been, taxes aren't being paid on this, are there? So that's a sort of a nullity, but, okay. It says you are certifying, I think, that the taxes are paid up through this year payable next year. Well, yeah, you can, because there aren't any.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
okay. Yeah, no, that's good, though. I
Okay.
didn't look at that
Probably
one.
some kind of.
Okay, do we need a motion to, it's already been,
It's already been approved. I just
Approved.
signed the documents.
okay, thank
For a
you.
long time ago.
And then real quick, Brandon, do you need Dan for, well, yours wouldn't be, for the cell tower permit, do we need Dan?
I don't think so.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you, Dan, I appreciate you staying.
all right, yeah, no problem.
Shut off the clock.
Well, see, that got slid in on me during the meeting, that's not fair. I lose revenue because I'm billing for the meeting. That's okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Yeah, we'll take a 5-minute break here.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for your toilet. See that too. Is it my what? Is that mine? Oh,
We're getting it moved through pretty good.
Going quick, for as much as we had on there.
Oh, okay.
How much of the agenda did you put out there, Commissioner?
Almost all the way through.
Oh, really? Yeah. Taking a break there?
Well, yeah.
I didn't even hear either.
If I can't,
I'm
let me give
like,
you my
oh,
card.
everybody's walking, yeah, everybody's like, get the other way.
Commissioner Western, that's told me to stop by.
What do you got to say today?
Just wanted to introduce myself. I work for Congressman Banks.
That's what I mean, quit bothering you.
Sure is. I want to make sure that we have a relationship and you have a face that's to go with.
That's good, good.
And see if there's
So will you be
anything
around
major
quite a bit, or?
Yeah. I'm a district staff, and so I'll be one of maybe 3 people from the district office that you'll interact with.
Great.
Commissioner
That's nice.
Western? Russell Yale. I work for Congressman Banks. Appreciate you having me stop by.
Well, good, don't make yourself scarce. We're here often.
Well, I really, I mean, this is Jim's county, so.
Okay, I was gonna say,
Please,
Here's the quote
let's
from
have some
Mr.
communication.
Just came in with,
Still higher than I thought.
yeah, well under what they got us, but I think it's because he has to cut the asphalt and patch
So how
it.
much of the agenda does this have?
Do you want to talk about it later, or you just want to hold on to it till
I'm locked out.
we get the
You got your
identified?
badge?
Yeah, we're gonna have to get the indemnity signed signed, and I've already talked to the business manager, but he's gonna have to get everything signed too. So,
I sent it, get Dan a copy of what he did before me, so he doesn't have to redo it all.
And your door's locked too?
And then it's stuff. I am getting calls from Mr. Downing every week.
I was just gonna ask you.
Starting to get,
Need a form?
starting to get really.
His email was clear.
And he's like,
He said they were gonna
start
discuss it
talking about
on the phone.
attorneys, I'm like,
hey, we're doing what we can do.
he just doesn't understand.
Yeah.
He's all upset, but I just thought, you know.
And I can understand.
But I guess, I just didn't know if it needed to be a formal request, that's what I was gonna ask. I didn't know if it was just gonna be topics that they were gonna discuss or if I'm gonna come up and speak to it, so.
You were gonna have to close one restaurant bar there.
Oh, it came out okay.
Well, I didn't add myself
Went
at the
down
time
there,
because of the.
they issued a
request for
fine.
everything. I was like, okay.
They paid for their.
Open discussions.
They came and took them
So,
permit.
that's all right.
They issued them a fine.
Seems a
so
bit
they operate
odd,
business
but
without license, which is expected. Now whether they'll appeal that, I don't know.
Just such a
They are
sites.
Well, you know,
Good.
to be honest,
But yeah.
I've heard good things about it.
It is. It just was, I had a problem, I was problem with the employee, not
how far off am I, Nathan?
confrontation. Confrontation.
I think Jim's like,
I wonder if they got server safe and all that down there.
I try to come when I need to be here.
On the one individual, because they were a catering business before they came. So they had those ranks, so.
Can I use your badge?
Thank you,
George,
Scott.
please? Can I use your badge?
Bring back whenever
What's
we
that?
get
Your
the
badge? Dan locked us
school
out.
board approval and.
Yeah, I guess we really have to have that.
Well, I
Just real quick, if I can, do you want me to make a formal request?
Sweet, good job on that one.
Or you guys want to talk about it in general session? I just didn't know. I'll be here if you want me to.
I've never been here.
Have fun.
I'll just do that. I've got it on my agenda.
I just didn't know, I wanted, I didn't, wasn't on the agenda.
Should we plan on
Okay, very
actually
good.
trying to?
Yep, I've got it on.
because you had to help the drainage stuff.
I mean, we need to know what's out there, and I know there's a lot of stuff out
There's
there.
almost something going on daily.
I don't want
Stop
to
in.
miss out on
We're
any
not here
source
all
if
day,
it's
right?
available. So, because there are things that I've got on my list, like I know would be years out, but if we can let them do it and then refine whatever they do.
Yep,
Okay.
yep,
I'll,
that's cool.
Maybe state statute.
also what I would do about setting up that meeting then.
Fine.
I think
You
the
and
commissioners
George, do you
over
wanna be
there
a part of that,
more
or-
often than we do.
Well, I probably need to, I probably need, yeah, I need to be, yeah, I need to be, yep.
But they're there all day.
You know, I just thought that
That's full-time
Jessica
job.
probably should have, the next meeting for redevelopment, present to them. They're the ones paying for everything.
But they said they weren't going though, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that why we're doing this?
I won't say retired, but retired, but they, retired, but I got a son at home that,
She's still gotta prove herself, and I'm okay with that, I understand that. I know what they do, but if they're not doing
That was
it,
a weak presentation, I'm sorry.
have you made it to
And did you,
no, it wasn't.
several of the other counties yet or
I
not?
mean,
That's not what I expected.
this is what I expect I could do for Woodley County.
Yeah, I think that, I'll probably sit down with Tom Wall, he's our president. I think I'll sit down with Tom over coffee and say, it wasn't the presentation I was expecting.
Trust me,
I was afraid that her presentation could take an hour, because
Well, appreciate your time.
Oh, yeah.
Long time ago, you don't remember.
there's enough
that
stuff
all
that
up.
could take an hour.
She did everything in generalities, you know, fun.
Very nothing specific was there.
No.
But she,
I mean, that's why I asked questions I had to
the time she
ask.
wasn't married, so when she was in the area, she lived with her parents, and they were my neighbors. So
So,
I saw her all, I
yeah,
didn't
but
see
you
her all
need
the
to,
time, but when she
and
was
you
home,
don't even need me, but you ought to sit down with her
Yeah.
and
Yeah, one thing that,
be
no, her parents still live,
honestly, be hard with her.
Prayers still
One thing
live up
that's
there north.
very much.
Still live up there.
I forgot Hannah brought it up to me, and then I forgot, because I'm like,
That'd be awesome.
All of us.
Yeah, she found it.
and
She
then
got
I
married
think
pretty
he can't
late.
notarize it, because
That
it's notarized
is,
as well.
it's a plan for.
Matter of fact, my
different
sister and
roads
her
around the
grew up
county,
together
say,
and
what
did
is
stuff
this
in high school.
class, so arterial, collector, and stuff.
Yeah, maybe,
You're just notarizing, saying, yeah.
Depending on exactly what you want to do
Definitely
with
their
it,
signatures and,
based on
yeah.
traffic counts,
So-
forecasting,
Yeah,
stuff like that.
yeah,
Doesn't have to be.
yeah. You
So
know,
we just
I wonder
print it?
if Brandon even knows that they
Yeah.
come in, they just come in and take counts. They try to go to every county, try to go to a county a year.
I was thinking the same thing, I was like,
Yeah, and.
It's still rough in June here, so we're not sure, to be honest with you. A lot of their mannerisms are this,
That one's
their
probably the biggest one that I can
mannerisms,
think
some of it are similar, but
Housing is kind of.
Because after, well, the thing
enough to know a lot of
the
people.
cool thing about housing is
Not that that's bad, that's
there's
just the
money
way
out
it
there
is.
to
and
fix
that's
up
why-
these marginal homes.
Yes.
What if we don't do it? And I don't know who we are, okay? I don't know it's your job.
Yeah, the city really should.
Oh, I
The
agree.
city and town, it would have the biggest benefit.
no,
Well,
I,
he's a lot younger than me,
yeah,
so,
that's
you
what,
know,
and that's what Huntington City took the bull, and Wabash
he's a lot
City.
younger than me, so-
And they got some pretty nice sites. I mean, there's Wabash, a stellar community and other things, and yet they just went right for this housing rehabilitation and,
But that's enough for an old guy.
they went for the housing rehabilitation and did a lot of work in that community. So, yeah.
Well, I'll get with
But I'm
her.
thinking maybe Brandon too.
Yeah, Brandon, maybe, I don't know, maybe.
Yep, nice meeting you.
Commissioner Andrew, can I?
Hi, sir, how are you?
Hi, Russell Yale, I work for Congressman Banks.
Yes, you do, sir, yes, you do, congratulations,
Just
I
wanted to say
think.
hi and just say this is.
Thanks for
his
coming.
district or his county, so we want to service you well if there's ever anything.
Thank
need.
you, sir.
We appreciate that.
Yes, we do.
And so now we have met with all the commissioners of the county, met with
Have you?
the mayor, met with the EDC director and the chamber, so hopefully
Excellent.
we're getting our name, getting our faces out a little bit.
Good, yeah, great,
That's a
great.
good
Thanks.
idea, thanks.
Thank you for stopping by.
Okay, we'll continue our meeting.
You feel better?
Oh, man. There's a bunch of signatures you won't when they've done signing those things. Actually,
Okay,
Yeah, one's a
Kenneth
print.
Dunn, mobile light cell tower permit.
Good, gentlemen.
oh,
So I know a couple times there's been some applications submitted without any representation, and for that I apologize. When Mobility began putting out these permits, they didn't necessarily know what to expect at the local level, and so they began submitting applications via mail and without any representation. I was hired in July. Sometime in mid-August, I believe, I met with both Nathan and Brandon and began discussing with them what the actual applications were, what we are, and what we are trying to accomplish. Since then, we've tried to look at some different locations for some of our utility poles to better meet with concerns that you had and with what Brandon had. And we have a couple applications that are with you right now, and I appreciate the chance to come and speak with you with them and explain a little bit more about what they are and what our goals are in achievement, and then discuss the specific locations a little bit more beyond that. So again, apologize for all that has come before today. Start fresh and move from there. So there are two applications that are submitted currently, one of which we actually instantly submitted to the city, thinking that it was within the city's jurisdiction. It was not, it was within yours, so that was passed off to Brandon. The first application is on West County Line Road, just south of intersection with County Line Road, Highway 24. And that's down to the south, and the other one is closer in here on East Business 30, east of the intersection of East Business 30 and Tower View Drive. What these are for is what's referred to as our transport network. Mobility as a company provides infrastructure for data transport. Primarily, the cellular industry is what uses our equipment, but anybody that's interested in high-speed data transportation are our clients. We work with all 4 major carriers, but we do work with others as well in dealing with that. Mobility is a certified local exchange carrier with the Indiana Regulatory Commission, Utility Regulatory Commission. That is what gives us the grounds to apply for these in-the-road right-of-way as utility poles. We have had extensive discussions with the IURC to clarify, because some communities were unclear on what that meant. And the IURC's standing is that while we have the rights to the road right-of-way, the local jurisdiction has the rights to how and where. And so that's why we work with the local jurisdiction to come up with locations for these that work for all cases as much as possible, and other solutions. I know here in Whitley you're concerned with vehicular safety, and so some of these looked at perhaps installing some guardrails that Brandon has requested that Mobility own and maintain as a way to protect vehicles from these poles as well, and also try to locate them in areas where there's low, if no, vehicular travel as well. What our 2 major parts that we're building out is the first part, which doesn't affect Whitley County specifically, is small cell technology. Basically, that is what all the equipment that's on a cell tower at a much smaller size that fits on a utility pole. We are working with the city of Columbus to locate 1, perhaps 2 of those. Those we're looking at trying to co-locate on the city-owned light poles. The second part of that is what's called our transport network, and that is a metal pole. We start off requesting a utility pole of 120-foot tall total. 110 feet is what will probably be installed, but there's an additional 10 feet that could be an antenna that will be sitting on top of it. If you look at the actual drawings, you'll see that that part of it is grayed out. It's because it's not necessarily installed. What is installed is 110 feet worth. The reason we need the height is because what we're dealing with is microwave dish wireless communication, and so we need height for line of sight to get above the tree line. There's the equipment that's actually on the pole is those microwave dishes at the very top, some radio equipment that sits below that, and then close to the ground level are 2 cabinets, one that includes our electrical equipment for converting electrical power, and the second is a battery backup for short-term short-term power losses. There's about a 24-hour battery backup that's associated with this.
Are these hooked to the electric grid?
Exactly. That's the only thing that runs into these is an electrical connection that goes into it. These operate at the same speed as a fiber optic network, but these are completely wireless. At some point within our network, one of these poles does touch fiber optic. Everything ends up in fiber optic and back into the grid that that handles all data communication, whether it be your laptop, your phone, etc. But what we do with our transport network is that we expand at the same speed as fiber optic wirelessly, so that we can get the data transported around without the need for putting in extensive fiber optic networks, but still operating at the same speed.
So do you work directly with businesses or just someone like AT&T and Verizon?
We're kind of the middleman within just dealing with the transportation. If there's somebody that wanted to expand internet system, they could use ours as part of that network to get the data transferring back and forth, but we're just kind of the middleman dealing purely in data transportation. So that's kind of the background of what mobility is and what our equipment is. Are there questions you had so far about that?
Well, I don't want you to walk away thinking I understand, because so far I pretty much
Don't.
I know you're Kenneth Dunn. That's about what I've learned. Well, I mean, we're sitting here today talking about Metronet coming to town. Are you a competitor with Metronet? How do you all fit in here together? Everybody wants to transport data, so I'm a little. And you said you're working with Columbus. Do you mean you're working with Columbia City?
Did I say Columbus? I'm sorry, Columbia City.
All right.
Oh, I'm very sorry if I said Columbus. My
And then
goodness.
you're talking about 10-foot tower?
Yeah, utility pole, 110-foot utility pole, yes, you can call it a tower if you want to. but-
Well, a utility pole, that's a tall.
Yes, it is. There's no getting around, that's a tall utility pole.
And that's what you want to place in right-of-way?
Yes.
Why not place these in private property? I guess I don't understand. Cell towers usually go on private property.
To be clear, we're not a cell company, and we don't put up cell towers. What we are dealing with is the transport of data.
I got it, but I guess I don't understand why you don't go to private property owners and put your poles up there.
Well, you asked about, competition within the marketplace.
Yeah.
We're within the same scope as fiber optic. Fiber optic very regularly puts their lines in road right-of-way and everything else, and we have the same regulatory authority of any fiber optic
But
company
the
from the
poles are
IURC.
existing. But the poles are existing with fiber optic.
Generally speaking.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
not
you want
not
to
always,
add
but
poles.
yes.
Okay.
But what we are, a CLEC with IURC, and our equipment is on tall poles because what we're dealing with is wireless communication.
Yep.
So what we're dealing with is, our installation is it's a 24-inch at base pole. So as far as what we're taking up in the road right-of-way is just that piece, and electrical power that runs to that pole. When fiber optic goes in, they're going to be running either on power lines or underground all the way along the road right-of-way. We're just that spot in which we're putting in that pole.
So evidently, your company has done its due diligence, and you think you can make some money putting these things at these locations.
Yep.
And you want approval to put them in the right-of-way instead of on private property.
Yes.
But it's simple that we can understand.
Yep.
Understand that?
No, I do. I understand, but 110-foot pole, that's a tall pole.
I do not
Even
disagree with that
100.
statement.
What's that?
I do not disagree with that statement. It is a tall pole. I will say that the one that's going on East Business 30, just south of Columbia City here, we're working to get that one to be a shorter pole. And there is the ability to make these shorter. The 110-foot dish at the top is the optimal as far as making sure of line of sight and no obstacles as far as trees and everything else like that. They can be a shorter pole if that's a big hang-up. The issue with that is that there may have to be more of them, because you're talking about line of sight, curvature of earth,
Understand line of sight.
Potentially, you're going to end up with more poles if you start bringing down their heights.
Yeah, and down there at 24 and wherever you said the county line, the elevation's low down there, and that would probably take a taller pole, but I guess I'm a little confused. How far off the roadways are these gonna be that you're where you want to put these things and one thing and another?
That's dependent on what the county's requirements are, amount of road right-of-way, et cetera. Example-wise, in Allen County, they try their best to have us be 20 feet off of the edge of travel lane to our pole. If their road right-of-way isn't wide enough to handle that, they require that we be no less than 18 inches off the back edge of the road right-of-way to make them as far away from travel lane as possible. Those type of accommodations are no problem. We're happy to meet those. It's just a matter of that. If it's a very, very narrow right-of-way, we're looking at trying to figure out a way to purchase road right-of-way from a distant property owner and deed that to the county if there's a need for that in specific locations.
So are you telling me I could drive down county and see these poles?
Not yet, but we do have approved locations throughout the state. They're in the process of being built right now.
I know you said these weren't cell towers, but they're still.
They're tall. I will not.
They're still tall
Yes.
structures.
Absolutely.
It looks to me like, this may not be politically correct,
You're fine.
but you're doing this in the right of way, so you don't have to buy property.
I'm not going to deny that either, but so does every single fiber optic company, et cetera. That is what utility
I mean, you
companies
don't
do,
have to pay a
and
lease on a
CLECs
piece
do, and we
of-
are a CLEC.
On a cell phone tower out in somebody's field.
wouldn't one of the major differences be they're gonna use existing poles?
Not necessarily, they were very well may put in poles. And we're not just talking about, fiber optic, we're also talking about Frontier, Xfinity, all of those are certified local exchange carriers.
Yep.
They're all within the same jurisdiction that we're in, and they put in poles or they put it in underground, et cetera. We're all in the business of handling communication in one term or another, and basically, that's data in today's world.
I guess my biggest concern is the liability that, with it, the pole being that tall, that if somebody would run into that and there'd be damage, who would be liable? Because we've got our right of way, would we be subject to liability?
Well, it's probably not any
Sure.
different than the electric company's pole.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and too bad that Mr. Siegler couldn't be here any longer, but if hold non, what's the word I'm looking for? This is where you need lawyers, isn't it? Hold not liable or whatnot, language is a concern that can be done. Yeah. We've signed agreements onto that state. It is what it is anyway. We would be liable to our pole, but if the county feels more comfortable having that language specific and representative signing off, that's not a problem. It's our pole, we're liable.
One of the problems that I think we had with wind turbine generators were, what do we do if the company goes out of business? And I guess the same thoughts striking me here. What if they go out of business? Now we've got 110-foot poles that something has to be done to them. So,
We've signed agreements dealing with end-of-life expectancy of the poles as well, if that's something that's a major hangup that could be explored as well. It sounds like we have, most of our agreements end up being with pretty large jurisdictions, and they tend to include a lot, but we also have signed them with smaller jurisdictions, a number of poles jurisdictions, not small in size, I mean.
Would you be willing, because this is part of our ordinance for wind tower generators, wind turbine generators, would you be willing to put up cash for every pole that was placed, and we get the cash, and we use the cash if you go bankrupt and you leave town? You can tell me about all the papers you're gonna sign, that you'll take care of it, but quite frankly, if you go belly up, you're gonna be in Miami Beach somewhere.
Well, I
And
won't
we're
be.
gonna
I don't
have
get paid
100.
that much.
You may not, no, you may not be, but somebody is, so.
You're like, basically, you're looking for a security bond of some type for each pole.
You can call it bond, I call it cash. Our ordinance is purely cash. For every wind tower generator you put up, you give us $100,000 in cash, and it goes in a kitty, and that's our money. You don't get that money back, that's our money. And, would you be willing to do a similar thing based on a, not $100,000, obviously?
Yeah, we cannot afford $100,000.
No, I understand that, but there has to be expense to removing those poles and taking them out of there. So, and you have no scrap value. That the wind turbine generators did have some, they were metal, there was some scrap value.
These are
So,
steel poles.
oh, there is some scrap value.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, well, then it still applies.
I can't speak on that specifically.
Would you be willing to do that?
What I can say is that we are willing to comply with all required rules and regulations, including fees that you would charge for any other certified local exchange carrier. So
Yeah, we wouldn't pick on you as the only one. The ordinance would read, I mean, again, with the wind turbine generators, we don't care what company wants to come in and put them up. That's what they have to live with, so we wouldn't just pick on you. You would, but it sounds like you'd be the first one to do it, so.
I think at this point, we probably need to look into this a little bit further.
Oh, my gosh, yes. I guess I want to know where they're going. Where are you going to put these things? You know, I want to see it.
Brandon's got all the information that we need, right?
Well, yeah, as he mentioned, there's 2 sites currently, I guess, for your consideration. Already already denied the one at Park 30 and 400, because at least as that.
That was the one by
proposed-
80/20, right?
Yes, it was like right off the edge of the road. And we were concerned
Correctly
about
denied.
Traffic. There was one on 700 East at SDI, but we have vacated that portion of.
It's not ours anymore.
For SDI, so I don't think that one's on the table.
No, we've looked at, we worked closely with the plant manager there at SDI, looking at that one. And then we talked to them about where would they prefer, because they had no problem with the pole being in proximity to them specifically. They just didn't know how they were going to develop that new entry once they had it vacated. There's space along County Road, on the north side of County Road, where their truck entrances, basically. They have an area there. There's kind of an island that's created by the trucks going in and out. And they had no problem with us locating in the road right of way within that island area there. They never got to change that area, so we had changed that. I think those plans are ready to be submitted. I had talked to Brandon a little bit about that one. He was concerned about needing to potentially widen county line at some time in the future, though, so we'd want to make sure that wherever we located it was within that. But we have a working relationship enough with SDI at this point that it's feasible that we could even look at perhaps purchasing what would end up being road right-of-way in that area, so the pole is set back from SDI, and then you'd own that portion for when and if you need to widen county line. We already have that working relationship set up with SDI, so that one's a little bit in flux because of all that. But that's the other location beyond the two that we have submitted right now.
Well, that one, you mentioned Tarview Drive, isn't that in the city?
It's
That's the
just
city
east-
ordinance?
It's just east of Jerry's on Business 30.
Oh, it's east of Jerry's.
Yeah, between Jerry's and Shipley's.
That's out of the city.
And that's the one where, yes, that is county. And that's the one where I talked with Ken about, at least having some guardrail there.
We went back and got the NDOT specs on guardrail for that speed of road and everything like that, and we are working on the construction drawings to be updated with that. And the company did a nationwide look at these, and some of them they looked at for ease of basically for ease of people's mind and to get them more easily approved at which ones they would benefit from decreasing the height and still meet the demands that we had. And that one, my understanding, they're still working their way through, was one that may be able to get as low as 75 feet. So that'd be significantly lower.
I'd like to see sort of, what's your plan for Whitley County in general? Now we're taking.
Right now, I think those are the three for the county, but I can investigate that.
That would be important to know. You're not going west then at all?
Not that I'm aware of, we never submitted any other ones other than this, right?
No, but
I don't think so, but I can look into it.
But somewhere in the
Yeah.
back of your mind, you have to say, well, I think we're gonna head for Warsaw.
No, we have a nationwide plan of where these things are going. Now, that keeps evolving as we get them approved,
I'm sure.
et cetera. So it's kind of in flux, but those are the three I know of, but I'll look and verify if there's any others.
You're smart enough to understand it. Once we give the approval on one, that's opened the door.
I would push in two ways on that. On one hand, what you're saying is not false in that as you approve one, yeah, you're gonna have to continue approving. What I would say is that our status as a CLEC with IURC, you don't get to not open the door, basically. Well, we have to work with you on where they're gonna be. The IURC has been very specific that as a CLEC, that we have the rights to the road right-of-way, but we have to work with local jurisdiction on where and how.
So what do you really need from the commissioners?
Well, it's your road right-of-way, correct? I mean, you control the road right-of-way, we're putting in road right-of-way, we have to have your sign-off. So we have to work with you on coming up with adequate solutions.
Yeah, but we're
Approve all
gonna,
permits.
that funny-looking guy in the green shirt back there, we're gonna listen, what's he got to say?
One, I don't think he's that funny-looking.
What's he got to say about it?
Well, I mean, I've expressed my concerns, and that's the example that I give Mr. Dunn, and I may not have mentioned it to you, Tom, but I think I did to George and Don, and that was out down on 300 South, just west of 600 East. And there is I don't know how tall it is, a tall steel tower on the south, off of the south side of the road.
You mean that power line?
Yeah, it's well outside of the road right away, but the story that I remember was some guy had one of those Toyotas that the accelerator went to the floor and he crashed
He hit
into
it.
and burned and died.
Yep.
And that was outside of the right of way. So, my concern is, for one, between Federal Highway and NDOT, anything that I do construction-wise in the right of way, I've got to have, breakaway signposts and crash-worthy barricades and those kinds of things. And, what we're talking about here is not breakaway. That's my concern, is the safety of the traveling public.
Well, I think it's been our concern all along.
Well, you talk about down there by Shively's, you can move back there 100 feet and they'd give you a place to put it. And they got a green legs that's 200 feet tall, so it wouldn't even be noticeable if you get the darn thing back off the road. You understand what I'm saying?
Hey, and there's a suggestion for you. I'm all for getting them, the further from the road right away, the better, in my opinion.
I'm all for them being here because they're going to be used, I'm sure.
I mean, there's pros and cons to everything. We've got a situation down on the county line where a fiber optic company just took it upon themselves to install their utility without a permit. Cut a private tile. Don't know where they are with regard to our two county drains that they crossed, and they're not moving real fast on rectifying that situation. So in that regard, I like what he's saying. They got a 2-foot pole with power coming to it, and that's the only interference, because our right-of-ways are getting crowded. But that's the pro, there are cons.
My region is Fort Wayne and South Bend. I cannot tell you how many communities I interact with that have horror stories about fiber optic. I don't know what it is about that industry, but even when they do get permits to install, apparently their idea of installing a straight line is to jog so much that basically they prevent anything else going into that road right of way because they've put it in so haphazardly. Anecdotal, but.
Thank you.
Absolutely. This is what, my position is, to come out here and speak with you guys and get your concerns and do what I can. You asked for what the total county build out is going to look like.
Be nice.
And I can verify what, if any, other than the three that we have are. I cannot offer to start pursuing private property. That's not the business that we're in. We go in road right of way, and that's where we're licensed, or we're certified for, et cetera.
Where can we drive to and see this exact same setup?
I can send you a picture. They are literally being built out right now, and they have everything built in. Like within 2 months, you will see them in Indiana. But right now, there aren't any that you could drive to.
Supposed to get them to Brandon or something.
Sure, I'll get a picture of that.
Please do.
Absolutely, no problem.
But it'd just be.
In fact, if you just want to look at my phone, I can give you a picture right now, just to give you an idea. I can give you the picture too.
Brandon had a picture of one time, what the city was going to have.
That was,
Thank-
I'm pretty sure that was just a photo.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's right. It was, yeah.
The top white part is the antenna that is not part of the application. That's the full belt. That's what it looks like.
And
Yeah,
the
there's
base is 24
24
inches,
inches,
right?
yep.
What about what's buried? How big's that?
The concrete it can be as much as 24, but they do a geo survey to verify the soils.
Is that all 24? I'm shocked.
24 feet.
Oh, 24.
24, it's 30 concrete, 24 deep.
Oh, okay.
30-inch
Oh, okay.
concrete, 24 feet deep. But it's not necessarily 24 because they do a geo to
Right.
verify soil conditions.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and I'll get that picture sent to
Thank
Brandon
you.
so you can send it.
Can I get a motion to table?
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Thank you.
Should I just work with Brandon a little bit?
Please,
and- okay,
please.
That's fine.
Get some information to us through Brandon.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
To put these suckers on private property, get them held back, it'd be a lot simpler.
I don't get it.
I do.
Oh, that's right.
This,
Amy, real quick,
they don't have to buy.
Okay.
Good afternoon.
How are you?
Oh, we're getting along. Busy as ever, which is good. Coming before the commissioners, I had communicated we had hired a deputy director, and in that process of getting everything set up from access and technology, other items of that, I requested permission. In my budget, I do have funds available. Was interested in achieving a phone specific for the use of emergency management. The request for that, as a result of some of the specialized work that we do with the Department of Homeland Security, and having that secure opportunity to have communications, and the fact that he is covering for me when I am not available, and the opportunity, if the situation arises in which we're at dual incidents, to be able to have that form of communication, specific and isolated to the EMA office as a whole. So, looking at that, like I said, funds available within my budget to accommodate that without any kind of deficit, creating any issues or concerns with that. So coming before you for that request.
I move we approve this, so.
got a motion, got a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks,
I
Amy.
could just also wanted to provide you an update regarding the radios and the programming that's going along with that. It's been ongoing. Just received a communication this morning that was a little bit disturbing in the sense that they're looking at conducting the transfer to the P25 cutover mid-February. That's
Wow, that's
soon.
now.
That's now. Our IDs that are required to come from the state to us before any vendor can touch them to program them is being held up based upon information that they have not received from J&K Communications in relationship to the equipment being qualified to be upgraded. So there's nothing that we can do at this point in time. I was on the phone earlier today with Adam Hurley and with Kelly Klefker at J&K, trying to resolve the issue. I sent them immediately the information I received from the state as to why that process was being delayed and upheld, and they were going to try to make contact themselves directly with the state to resolve that matter. We seem to be the
So
only
they're
county.
taking it seriously?
They are taking it seriously,
Okay.
but it is on our doorstep, which is concerning to me.
Yeah.
From the scope of the project, just to give you an understanding of that, the primary users on the 800 system by far are Columbia City Police Department. In
Yeah.
fact, they're exclusive to that. But secondary to that are our Sheriff's Department, because they use that to communicate with Columbia City and when they are offside of the VHF availability or they need assistance with the Indiana State Police. So if I rank that, Columbia City, that's their only form of communication. Second highest would be our Sheriff's Department, and third would be our county fire departments, because they don't use it primarily, but they have the need to be able to use it. Only 25 of the sheriff's radios are currently approved to have that ID. So we're looking at about at least another 10 that will need to be brought online for them to be satisfied when this cutover takes place. So that's my primary focus right now, is achieving getting those additional radios to the point where the state approves those. But I wanted to let you know that we are teetering on a very close deadline here. Part of that's the state's responsibility in the sense that they are only moving as quickly as the information they receive, but it complicates the matter when the information they receive is not accurate. And we worked directly with J&K. We met, we put it all up on the screen, we worked through each radio serial number ID and worked through that process to submit that as a response to the state, and the state's coming back and now telling us that that information is inaccurate based upon what they're receiving from E.F. Johnson Corporate, which tells me there's some issue with local representation for that product. So I just wanted to keep you informed of that. We're moving as fast as things will allow us to on this particular
Okay.
project.
Okay.
But I wanted to keep you informed because to me, that is very critical to the safety of our community and to our responders that are using that equipment.
So,
So,
well, I was just gonna say, let us know if there's anything that we can do to push it along.
sure, but they are taking it
So
seriously.
E.F. Johnson, this is a question, it's gonna sound like a statement, but I'll get to a question eventually. So E.F. Johnson sells J&K radios, and keeps the identification number on a list.
Correct.
And then J&K distributes those radios, and their list doesn't match E.F. Johnson list.
Correct. Each time, is my understanding, not having performed myself, but the radios that J&K purchases through F. Johnson are registered with a number. When those numbers are reassigned to an agency that's going to use them, it's J&K's responsibility to update that information with E.F. Johnson, who then communicates with the state and validates equipment so there's no loss of equipment and confusion with serial numbers. Because the state communicates in that way with serial numbers. If that serial number is not identified between the state, E.F. Johnson, that radio will be shut down and not to be able to be upgraded or used in any way, shape, or form. So it's critical that the vendor in between accurately reports who they reassigned that equipment they purchased and resold to the end user is accurately updated and the serial numbers recorded accurately. Otherwise, that's where the breakdown happens. So the breakdown is over here with the state saying, well, we're validating with E.F. Johnson as a corp. That information is not accurate, which tells me the information from their J&K is not being flowed upwards in the manner in which it needs to be.
And what's the end game if we don't, if this doesn't get resolved?
We will have radios that won't function. We will have potentially responders on the streets that won't have 800 megahertz capabilities to communicate with other partners in the
The
process.
VHF will still work.
VHF will still work, yes.
The 800 won't be able to
Yes.
communicate with state police or with
Or
the
Tacoma
city police.
And, you know, oftentimes, and I, being right next door to communications, I hear often with the radio traffic, okay, we're, systems being, you know, worked on right now, so we're switching to 800. I mean, so there's no definitive times when you know that VHF's constantly gonna be there, that they're not gonna have to take it offline and transfer our responders to VHF just for 20 minutes.
Well, they
And in
use
that-
it, if there are certain areas that they can't use VHF, that they have to use 800.
Correct. So that's my primary concern and obviously goal to make sure that we are taking care of those people using the equipment.
Using the E.F. Johnson J&K scenario, is it safe to say Motorola and ERS has the same, they have to do everything the same way? Motorola gives the serial numbers to ERS has to maintain where they go?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. There's that responsibility, but the difference is, and I don't know because of our community being so E.F. Johnson heavy with equipment, if it is just lack of record keeping over the years, which is why the state, when they chose to do the upgrade process, required that every county go through their EMA office to verify these radios, to bring in basically the craziness and unrecorded information. And so we're going through that right now, which is why it's been so complicated a process. So the project is doing exactly what it was intended to do, to weed out the ones that don't make sense. But in doing so has made it complicated in validating that your information is accurate.
The one thing also with the Motorola compared to the F. Johnson is, with the Motorola, we can get someone qualified to do the upgrade in the sheriff's department. With E.F. Johnson, you can't do that. We've got to go through J&K.
Gotta go through
You
J&K.
mean we can train somebody on board to do it?
Yep.
Columbia
This-
City does their own.
The state actually offers trainings twice a year that you can send somebody down there for, I think it's a day and a half training, so there would be an overnight accommodation. But for that minimum investment, you would have an individual within your own staff that would be capable of doing the programming and getting everything online without having to pay a third party to conduct that for you.
And I want to say one more thing, not necessarily in defense of Amy, but do you remember Kathy Broxenbaugh? You do? You remember Kathy Broxenbaugh? She came to us years ago and told us this day is coming. And I'm not blaming her. She didn't get, I didn't take it seriously. I don't think anybody took it seriously. So this isn't like we haven't had warning. We've had years worth of warning, and her predecessor didn't do any more about it, so
But we had
it's fallen
changed.
on her.
At one time, we changed the 800.
Yeah, I'm just saying though, this day of, hey, we're gonna shut you off, we knew it was coming.
Yeah.
And her predecessors didn't,
Do anything about it.
I don't think they took it as seriously as Amy has, so.
Well, like I said, we're doing everything we possibly can. It's on our doorstep, which is very concerning. But I wanted you to have clarity in case anyone from the state would approach you, which I doubt they would, but should you have that information. Also, obviously, you've been great supporters of what we're doing and trying to bring everything online and focus that, so I wanted you to be aware of that as well. And I will keep you upgraded on anything that we're doing. In fact, I have a phone call, I have received an email while I was in here to make contact with the state to try to help with the situation. So hopefully, we'll be able to get it to resolve, but I wanted you to know my primary focus, Columbia City's well on their own, they're taking care of their own, but my focus is the Sheriff's Department at this time. Third priority would be the fire departments, just because of use, but not that they're any less important, but just based upon their primary use on a daily basis, so. Okay.
Thank you, Amy.
All right, thank you, gentlemen, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Which one wants to go first?
Okay.
I brought back the corrected version of the septic ordinance. I didn't know if you want to sign that today and
Sure.
create a new
Is
ordinance.
that the field instead of file, or?
Yes, it's field instead of file.
Sorry about that.
No, that's fine.
Well, that's a good catch, man, good catch.
And I don't know what date you want to make that effective, or,
I guess today, actually, wouldn't it?
and I don't know what date number you are.
We have an ordinance number.
2017-02,
So,
right? Or is
Number
it-
three.
Oh, the
Three,
Okay.
yeah.
okay, this is
We have
sewage.
did we
Okay,
approve this?
No,
Okay.
I'm gonna make a motion, we approve ordinance 2017-303. Scott's been working on it, but
Second.
And this is actually an amendment, right? But
It is an amended ordinance, but, I mean, if it
it's
goes
a
in.
new ordinance now.
Right,
Okay.
Okay. It's got a new number.
it's got a new number.
Got a motion?
And a second.
Got a second? Any further discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same.
Do you want to have it recorded, or you want me to record it?
Brandon?
I can record it.
Yes, sir.
This is.
Front and center, Brandon.
I was kind of like first on the agenda, and now I'm last on the agenda.
That way you get the whole fact.
Yeah, right.
Brandon,
but let me say this, okay? He sat here the entire time and never fell asleep once.
Brandon,
Thank you for recognizing that.
before your report starts, let me ask you this. This gentleman was just here. It appears all they're doing is trying to put it in the right of way to save them some bucks.
I
Am I not right? Am I seeing it wrong?
called that spade a spade, right, when him and I and Nathan met. Yeah, and, you know, his argument, at least they say, and I have no reason to not believe them, that they're registered with IURC and they are a public utility, so in theory, they have the right to do it, but like he acknowledged, we have the right to tell them where and how, and that's where.
That's what I got out of it.
Yeah.
I got out of it that we can make them put up 50 feet of guardrail high if we wanted to.
It's no different than the wind turbines.
That's exactly.
Well, we didn't allow the wind turbines in the right of way, that's for sure, or anywhere near it.
Talking about.
So, but on the other hand, there's light poles up and down every road that in the right of way.
Joanne?
Well, wind turbines were a private company and a private developer. They were not a utility. If this guy has utility.
This guy's
status-
private.
Well, he said he's got utility status with the state. so-
Yeah, but it's still a private
They're
company.
all, they're all private companies.
And
They
your
just
wind
have the
turbine
public
people will tell you the
utility.
same thing.
My point being though, if he's telling the truth or not, if he really does have status with the state, that he can put it in a right of way, then our argument is with the Indiana Utility Regulatory Commission that told him he could do that and forces you back into a corner to say, you can tell him which right of way he can put it in. I mean, am I misreading it here?
Well, that's pretty typical of the state of Indiana to pass the buck back to us.
Yeah, that's,
And that's something I think we really need, is for him to prove that they are
That he really
approved
is.
sure.
before we do anything.
That's a good point.
But you know, just like
Don't take him.
down there by Shively's, they could go back there and rent a spot, lease a spot from Shively's and nobody'd even know it was there. And be 100 feet off the road and be no questions asked.
Stan?
Well, and it's not the only place that a conflict can come up. And this is way out a ways further, but he said they want these 110 feet tall to get over any obstructions. But how far does that beam go before it has weakened to the point that they need a new tower? In other
Especially with the microwave.
What's the difference between them? And it's microwave, so there's to some extent a real concentrated directionality to that, but it still has a power distance. The second thing is, what set of frequencies does it run on, and what kind of conflicts are going to be put in the air between their frequencies in microwave and somebody else, as soon as they've set that thing up and that starts happening. And then it basically puts the county in the position of funding competition with REMC, who's already said that they're going to host the fiber optic. So it seems to me that there's a multi-level mess going on there.
The thing that bothers me is there aren't any of these.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and the first set of applications was in July.
Well,
And that was one of my first questions too, is tell me what entity has approved one of your permits so that I can talk to them. Well, at that point in time, there weren't any.
And I'm not against technology, but I just think they could go to private land and do the same thing.
And like Stanley says, you could screw up an EMS radio, you could screw up a fire radio. You don't know what you're going to screw up because you don't know what frequency they're on.
Well, and I asked him,
Yeah.
if I'm standing directly beneath this thing, what's my exposure? And he said none.
I think none.
I don't think that it is.
I think none. I think you have to be out this way. I'm not telling you that if you're in a bucket truck 100 feet in the air, you might not have exposure, but I'm telling you that I don't think there's any down below, because I think it's a line of sight thing, so I think it has to reach out. But if it's a line of sight thing, there have to be more towers. There has to be more towers.
Exactly. They will go
They have to
west
be.
and north and south, yeah.
You know, when,
Well, and it's line of sight, but it's still microwave and there's still scattering. And
Yeah.
And so you have anything that's within the size comparison to the wavelength of what they're using can scatter it. And so there comes a place where that beam has weakened enough that it's no longer going to accurately and reasonably carry the data, especially if they're talking on condensed high data rates. When you're talking about literally gigabytes of data moving at one time, then that becomes an issue. And so that says, are we going to have more of them together? And you get one in, and all of a sudden you find out, well, in this particular place, there's enough trees, there's enough this, there's enough that it creates interferences, then we want more of them. I mean, there's a propagation thing going on
You
there.
bet, you bet, you bet.
I think there's just an awful lot that they.
Of the unknown.
I would want to ask CNA Tool in Cherubusco how it's working for them, because they've had it now for about 10 years. They needed to move data from uptown to their new building. And so they put up towers in town, and they put up a tower at the new building, and it's all microwave stuff. And I'm wondering how that's, is that technology now so old that it's worthless? There might be better ways.
I think it'd be interesting to talk to J&K with their towers that they've got, whether that would be something that would be acceptable to them.
Sounds like that would be a two-point conversation to have with J&K.
Yeah. Trying to protect them and,
Anyway.
trying to get our stuff done. That's what I'm saying.
issue, yeah.
Kind of, we may be trying to protect you, but hey, you gotta help us
Yeah,
too, so,
anyway, all right.
yeah.
Sorry I
Okay.
brought it up.
Well, I just think it needs to stay, I think it needs to stay tabled for, there's just a total lack of information on this, I think.
Well, he did tell me that they have a standard 6-page agreement that he would get to me so that I could get to you and Dan, because I asked him about the decommissioning.
Yeah.
He said, I think that's part
They
of our
didn't scratch
standard."
out like Apex and write their name in, did they?
Well,
It sounds like,
Acme?
no, isn't it Apex? I mean, that sounds like a WTG, ironclad.
Oh, yeah, right, gotcha. Okay,
All
well.
right, what do you got for us, Chief?
John Koch, Southeastern's rep, he did speak with Etnire, and he modified and initialed the bid to reflect a 90 to 120 day delivery. So that will work just fine for us.
June, that's,
June 1st,
could be June.
yeah,
Okay.
and
That works?
that'd be just fine, yeah.
Okay.
So what'd we do? We tabled that, or we?
I make a motion that we approve the bid then. You're coming back and telling us it's a machine you want, right? I mean.
Yes,
It is a
absolutely.
machine, yeah, okay.
Well, we already, the approval was
Was it contingent
contingent on Brandon being able to get that 90 days.
So it's approved.
So it's,
you
right?
got it as we've approved it, right? Okay. That's
Yeah, we voted on it. so.
Okay.
Get the order in.
Easy enough. NDOT has a project that they're tentatively gonna work on this summer. It's State Road 14, west of South Whitley, and so this is the typical letter of understanding for an unofficial detour. And Kosciuszko County, Scott Tilden, their highway director, so,
They
basically.
changed their bridge?
What's that?
Are they changing the bridge?
Two small structures, yeah, they're not, bridges are 20 foot or bigger, anything less than that would be a small
Oh,
structure.
it's
but
pipe.
It's between, it's their 700 East and .650 South and 950 West.
Yes, in effect.
Oh, I don't think they gave me that, no, they did not. It has not been let, so.
So unofficial means they do not pay us?
Unofficial is that they will pay us for damage.
For damage.
For
but-
repair.
But we gotta video it first.
They video it, we should
Okay.
be videoing them. We had several, quite a few. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, at least 6 last summer. And I wish I had videotaped them myself.
Do they pay for any repairs that we
We
make
did.
along the way, or?
We did 150 east and 500 south. We chip sealed an entire 1.5 miles, which we patched it and my proposal to them was like basically half of it because it was the edges that got beat down, and we've chip seal anyways, we just chip sealed the whole thing, but they give us about $8,000 for that, so.
Yeah, they're pretty reasonable as far as that goes, but.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'll be honest, I didn't have time to deal with 6 unofficial detours last year.
Do you need me to make a motion to approve the unofficial from our
I would
perspective?
appreciate, yes, that would
Okay,
be
I
awesome.
make a motion that we approve the unofficial detour as presented by Brandon.
I guess a second.
We got a second?
We gotta sign this?
Any further discussion?
After you approve it, yes.
All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same.
Okay, while you're signing that, tomorrow I'm gonna go to the council and request a salary ordinance amendment to change one employee from truck driver status to operator status, and that will be for the employee who is going to be the chief operator of our bucket truck. That is a specialized piece of equipment. You've got to be very safety conscious to be operating that with overhead electric and people working below you. You actually have to, be certified. So I think it's certainly reasonable to have that person be in that operator status, and so I'm going to make that request tomorrow. The money's in the budget. It's just a matter of getting the approval and a payroll change.
You want a favorable pass on that, or?
I make a motion we give a favorable pass. for that.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand.
Okay, thank you. I kind of mentioned in the mobility presentation, I've mentioned it before, we've got the situation out on 800 East. I've had communication with these people, but they haven't actually done anything yet, so.
Dan involved?
Not, I mentioned it to him last meeting. Yeah, he had a lot going on his plate today. I didn't mention it again to him today. I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt that they're gonna fix it. They talk like they are, it just.
That's what we want.
Right.
We want it fixed.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
I could regret this, but I'm gonna bring it up anyways. Because, well, it's something that is, none of you have to worry because it'll ultimately just be more work for me. But, I was, we've got a huge fiber project going all the way across the county for Parkview. And it's not, it's gonna connect every doctor's office, every hospital. I was talking,
Okay, this isn't Metronet, and this isn't
that's a
mobility.
private.
This is a totally different one, right?
It's Indiana Fiber Network.
Okay.
There you
okay,
go.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, just,
And Allen County charges fees for utility permit review and approvals. And I was talking with one of their guys about the other one where they cut that tile. And he asked me, you guys charge fees? I said, well, no, we never have. He said they're getting $80,000 just for this Parkview project. And they got $500,000 last year in utility permit fees, which sounds really good until you look at who's gonna enforce it, exactly. Because whenever you make new rules, you gotta have somebody to enforce them. So, and they require bonds. We haven't historically. I'm just kind of bringing it up to think about. We've kind of just been, sliding through on easy street with these and hoping that everyone complies, and then when they don't, it's an issue, but.
I think my consideration on that is that I hate to do anything after the fact, but we really need to.
no, I'm with you.
To look at an ordinance or a fee schedule for that.
Here's what I would like to do. I would like for him to put together some type of proposal and come to the fee committee. Let the fee committee discuss it before we bring it.
And maybe find out around
Are you all right
this-
with that, Brandon?
Sure, yeah.
What the rest of the counties, you know,
Yes.
Allen County.
I think as a rule, when I have a fee committee thing in just a minute here.
Okay.
But you just automatically do that. You look at what are other counties doing when you do that. Doesn't
Right.
mean you have to do it or you don't have to do it, but it's good to know what other counties are doing, so.
Yeah.
Well, there is work involved. I mean,
yeah.
it's not like there's not any work involved.
Exactly, like for this, I mean, especially on big projects like this, for companies like this Parkview thing, companies that are out of town, out of state, you know, I can imagine what's going on. They're not getting paid to fix tiles, they're getting paid to put fiber in the ground. And so you know, it's not just fiber companies either. We just fixed up at Valley Ridge, which is up at Crooked Lake, west side of Crooked Lake, north of the golf course. We just fixed a suck hole on the edge of the road that was a tile that was damaged when they put the sewer in 15 or 20 years ago. And it just popped up. So, you know, even a contractor whose job is to lay pipe ripped through that tile.
Or just
and
could have
just
cracked it
kept-
and then years did that.
Well, yeah, whatever, but, you know, they're not getting paid to fix tiles.
Okay, yeah.
So
No,
that's
it-
the problem. To do it right, you'd almost have somebody there the whole time, you know, a full-time inspector.
Okay, now, that Parkview system that's putting in, and Parkview's not doing it, they're hiring a contractor. to do
Right,
it.
right.
And so do we deal with the contractor?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you deal with the contractor.
Yeah. And we've, I mean, back when Devon was our field man, a company run a fiber all the way through the county, through the US 30 right away. And they were great to work with. Every time they come up on a tile, Devon was out there and verified the depth, and it was all good. But we just hope that that happens with this one. It's a big project. One of the other projects, because I can't find enough to do, so I gotta make stuff up. But it's gonna be here before you know it, and we're gonna be putting calcium chloride on gravel roads. When I've been cleaning my desk and office, I ran across a form about what our calcium chloride vendor would need as far as private information. Apparently in the past, they offered, you know, we're gonna do 200 feet or we're gonna do 300 feet, and if you want additional, you can pay to have that done. So for one, I'm trying to identify all of the residences that are on gravel roads. I mean, Don, you worked with the highway. Did you hear, or George, either one, any pros or cons of that program? I haven't heard anything about it in the last couple years.
Usually what happened is we'd have the residences come to us and ask for, they'd pay for 100 foot more from the west, because that was
Yeah.
where the
Yeah.
dirt would be coming from.
When we had the farm in Allen County always made sure that we're gonna give you 200 feet. If you want more, it's gonna cost you this. But I don't know how they knew that we were there, but they did. And then, like he said, great guy, he's passed away now, but Tom Hesting used to always come to me, and he lives on 400 North, and he said, "Don't put it in front of my house, because it doesn't do any good. Put it to the west of my house."
Right.
So he kind of knew, so these people do know
Sure.
where it needs to be. He said, "I'll take the 200 feet or whatever, but make it west of the house. Don't put it in front of my house, because that's only
Right.
helping somebody down the road." So yeah, and
Well, we're throwing ideas around about how to make that work, you know.
Yeah.
If people want to, you know, pay for extra. Like I say, I've done some work in the GIS I've picked more than what applies as far as my buffer distance. It selects more addresses. Now I need to figure out what addresses are for.
Is that something we should be doing, or should we just put it in the paper that,
Well,
you know, if you're
that's-
interested in it?
Yeah, that's another option.
not
Otherwise,
everybody gets,
No,
oh, not
not
everybody gets
that
paid.
many people get it.
Well, the address points that I selected, there was 550 of them. Another thing that Kevin said is, you know, let's just give that data to Great Lakes Chloride and let them put out a mailer or something. I think that probably
That makes sense.
makes
Yeah,
sense.
that
so.
makes more sense than us trying to do something.
So, just wanted to let you know, we've been working on that a little bit, and if you hear anything about it, surely send them our way.
I think that's usually about a May or June thing, right?
It was usually, but last year, my first day was April 22nd, which was a Friday, and on 23rd, 24th, April 25th,
Really?
they started spraying.
Did they? Okay.
Yeah.
I think we have to get that set up early because they've only got X amount of equipment and they do, I don't know how many different counties.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's probably true.
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So, yeah, I'm trying to
Okay.
be prepared, because that'll be here before you know it. That's all I had, unless we basically, the majority of what we've been doing, stockpiling Levens, getting ready for chip sealing. We've been doing a little bit of culvert work, drainage work as we can.
How about your gravel roads?
I'm gonna say they've tightened up a little bit since we
Yeah, it's a little
last
better.
talked.
Since
Yeah.
till tonight,
Well,
tomorrow.
yeah.
All right.
Okay, while Brandon's here, we've got some NIPSCO permits first.
Yeah.
Highway
yeah.
permits. First one we have is State Road 14 and 600 East. Again, NIPSCO install a medium pressure gas main to replace single customer regulation system off the high pressure gas main.
Brandon approved?
Brandon has approved.
Okay.
What we do? Sign it.
I would make a motion to approve it. I make a motion that we approve
A motion.
that permit. We go permit
Second.
by permit. But yeah, you do sign it,
There's
but
an unusually large amount of them this time, I'm sorry.
26 places to sign probably.
Have a second?
Second, yeah.
Okay, we got a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same. Second one we have is 800 East and County Line Road, from Indiana Creek Road to Chopine Road. And again, that's replace a regulator station that was damaged. Vehicle ran off the road and damaged the existing station.
Yeah,
The work is emergency
Where's
work
that
that must
at?
be done by 210.
Those are Allen County roads.
Yeah,
It's down Lakewood.
okay. Of course, I thought he was Chapine, and I'm thinking, boy, it doesn't run into the county line. Okay.
But we have to approve a permit just for a repair?
Yeah.
If they're cutting in our right of way,
All right.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same. Thank you. Okay, these are all NIPSCO. These one, we got more coming here.
But wait. When do we get the Ginsu knives?
What's that?
When do we get the Ginsu
Oh.
knives? You know, with 3, you get a paring knife or something.
You just get one free.
Okay.
Okay, the next one I have is 800 East and County Road. 800 East 92-92. East and west side of the road, starting at 2097. On east, 800 south for 600 feet. Install a medium pressure gas main along the east side of 800.
I think it's between 700 and 800 south on 800 east.
Why didn't they just say that?
That's county line.
Yeah.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion, second, any further discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Thank you.
Okay. Sign away there.
Next one is from QC Communications.
Okay.
The next time somebody says, what's a commissioner do? I'm gonna say, signs his name, or her name.
At least we don't have to do that for all the payroll checks.
Roger. Roger.
Okay, the next one we have is from QC Communications. It's an emergency repair for a bad fiber optic cable. And that is Willie Court and South Medallion Boulevard.
Yeah, that's Gateway East, and I talked to one of you, we gave them a verbal on
Yeah,
that one.
okay,
because it was an
okay.
emergency repair,
Yeah.
not an emergency installation.
Motion to approve the
Got a
emergency
motion?
repair.
Second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same. Thank you.
Save your tail, Brandon.
Hey, guys, make a mental note somewhere. We will not meet the first meeting in April. If you come, you're either gonna have to run the meeting or just be lonely. The light switch is over here.
You can be in charge.
Yep.
Meet it all?
We should get Jen and Dan and.
Yeah. We aren't gonna tell Dan. I'll be here.
Oh, okay.
Just you and Jana. Pam.
Yeah, boy.
Okay, this is from OR Utility and Infrastructure, AEP. Okay, they have US 30 Business and Lincoln Highway along the southwest side of US 30 Business Lincoln Highway between Governor's Drive and South Williams Drive. They're gonna bore under the railroad.
I thought it was something about colon reconstruction.
Colon Utility.
And they, for this, they have a much bigger project, but it's all overhead on existing poles, and I've never required permit for anything like that, but at that
Yeah,
one
and
location,
more.
they do have to bore under.
Okay, make a motion, we approve the,
Second.
Motion and a second. Any
Colon
further
resection.
discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same.
Colon reconstruction.
that's right.
It must be 3:30.
But wait, we're not done.
All right.
We have one more,
One more?
Yeah.
right? Yes.
Well, I'm going up to Brandon. Why are you doing that?
Okay, next one we have
From
is,
CenturyLink.
I'm
Look on the next page there. She sent it to me, Mary.
oh,
Yep, CenturyLink, it's Lauren again.
CenturyLink, County Road 600 East. It's provided a new customer at Rail Connect.
So moved.
Got a motion, I'll second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same.
George, did you make a motion? Anybody make a motion for the AEP?
Yeah.
I guess-
That was the colon reconstruction.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, that's right.
AEP colon reconstruction.
I'm losing it.
So there will be a bunch more of these next time, and
Oh,
you'll
thank
get
you.
to see them twice, Tom, because they've all got consent for permanent structures with a drainage board.
Bring them to our
So-
second meeting, right?
Yeah. Yeah. All permits come to the second reading, so. What am I missing here? Oh, got it.
Is this one the same?
Who's got to keep all this mess straight? Jana?
That's the auditor's problem.
Done. And done.
You give me a copy of it.
Okay. That one's all done.
Thanks. That's it.
Sure?
I'm sure.
Okay. Okay, let's approve the minutes if we could. Does everyone have?
We approve them as presented.
Second.
Okay, approved as presented. We got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same. Thank
Did you
you.
find any discrepancies or anything? I didn't, but
Okay, we'll do the claims.
Okay, well, claims. It was just a thrill to do claims, and I'm not being facetious. It was really nice because, back for a change, it was kind of nice to look for problem areas and not have to sit there and write and sign your name on every one of them. Gave you a different outlook. I just didn't find anything that I thought was out of line. Did y'all had got the docket registered? Did you see anything?
Everything looked good. Well,
Yeah, so I'm pretty tickled. Plus, we've got she'll have the new forms for us to sign. So I'm gonna start with, I make a motion that we approve the payroll claims this
Okay.
time.
This is a
Second.
motion to approve the payroll claims. We got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Thank you.
Now, you wanna make a motion to pay the claims, or?
I so moved.
Yeah, I'll second.
Got a motion to approve the claims. Got a second. Any further discussions? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Thank you.
And I really appreciate your work, and, now, what about the ordinance, kid? Are we gonna talk about it, or have we done that one?
We did that one.
We did the ordinance for the
Yeah.
utilities, and, okay.
Or the,
You missed that.
I must have, okay, sorry.
the utilities, are you talking about the AP ordinance?
Yeah,
or-
yeah, the AP
Yeah,
ordinance.
okay, yep, we did that when Dan was here. But this is the new way that State Board of Accounts has told me to present the dockets to you. I have to number each run that we do for utilities and everything, and then I have to put the amount of page numbers, the amount, and then for that time period, I have to put a grand total. And then you will sign off on it. And if you see there's the accounts payable on top, but then the payroll is on the second page. That's why it's
That's
stapled.
true, that's true.
So I have two separate breakdowns for what we do, so.
Okay,
then-
but we are signing one time?
Yes.
I guess what happens if these get separated? I don't want to sign any more than I have to, but you think it's okay not to have to sign?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Because you're signing for all of it.
Right.
With those together, so.
Well, I just want to tell you, I appreciate you and your office and Pam and everybody for working on this. It just makes so much more sense than it ever did before, so.
Okay, now I'm going to present this to you for Whitley County Council on Aging. The state's requiring that we look at their claims and approve their claims. Is that monthly or quarterly?
Quarterly.
Quarterly.
With regard to federal money.
For federal, the federal monies, right. Right.
Because when you do federal money.
Right, well, and they're a sub-recipient.
They are.
Yep, so we have to
'Cause we
oversee.
pay the match.
Yes.
So I have looked at this, but I'm not sure about the detail that we're supposed to go through that. I'm not sure that.
Well, I think the only thing you can do is look at it and go, you don't see anything that looks goofy.
And I didn't see anything that looked goofy. How's that?
There you go. So I'll make a motion that we approve the Council on Aging claims.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussions? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same.
Is
Thank
there
you.
anything we gotta sign?
Maybe if there is, it'd be only you, I think.
Well, actually, George signed the
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, that's what we
vouchers,
had.
so it's in the minutes that you reviewed them and you approved them.
Right.
Oh,
So we're-
fine, good job,
we're good.
good job.
Yeah. Yeah, okay.
Okay, Pam.
I don't have anything.
Jana.
Okay, I do have just one thing really quick. After I'm working on the annual financial report, and there's 3 funds that I found that we have not used and we will not use in the future. So I talked to State Board of Accounts about it, and they have advised me to do a transfer. I will take it to council tomorrow and transfer those funds to County General to zero out those funds and make them inactive.
Oh, were those accounts funded, were those accounts funded in the budget?
There were,
They were
no, they're
just money that's
they're
laid
just-
there.
Yep, so
Well, find some more.
I'm trying to clean up the books, so.
Find some
In Allen
more.
County, they found $12 million, I think.
Yeah, we're
is what it
counting
was,
on you.
so.
Well, and then the other one that I did want to talk to you about, and the reason why I really did bring it up is because Don asked me quite a while back, and I wasn't sure because I did call and ask and I didn't really get the answer I was looking for. But the EMS donations fund.
Yeah.
Okay, I
Yeah.
did talk to State Board of Accounts since they are here, and they recommended that I leave the money in the fund, but when we do pay Parkview for services, correct? Because when we pay that, when the next time we get a bill from them for their services, zero that fund out to pay
No,
that.
I agree.
And then,
There is another way you could do it though, legally.
Yeah,
You could
yeah.
tell Dwayne, I have this much money
Mm-hmm.
in this fund, give me a bill. Buy something.
okay.
Buy something and let me pay it out of this and let's get it out of it. Is it $800 and some dollars now or something? It doesn't.
I would have to
it is.
double check, but I
It
actually
was-
think it's close to like 3,000.
Okay.
around in there.
Well, it used to be up 8,000-9,000 all the time.
Well,
so,
we could just
yeah.
pay that, our
Yeah.
share of the,
Could we take those IEDs,
The AEDs.
AEDs out of
You
that?
could, through Parkview.
Well, that'd be up to him.
That'd be up
I mean,
to
that
him.
would be, the EMS manager, director controls that
Yes, he'd
fund
have to.
because that's money that's been donated over the years, funeral memorials and stuff, and so I wouldn't want to take that away from him.
Is that something that you want to talk to him about, or?
Not particularly, but I will.
Okay.
No, I will.
That way
I'm
I
just
know.
asking, unless you want to. I mean, I will. I just say, we want to get the money, we want to clean that fund out.
Yeah,
so.
'cause it's.
That's fine.
Okay, I will then.
Thank you, and
be
that
on your
was.
best
Oh,
behavior.
but when
Don.
you get a chance, will you tell me exactly how much it is? And
Oh,
just send me
yeah.
an email.
Yep.
So I can tell him, okay, thank you.
That's true.
How's some of the other monies looking? What are you looking at in monies?
Well,
Those
this
3
is only
funds.
February, Don.
No, I'm sorry. She said she's found
It's-
3 funds we can
Well,
close out.
it's maybe like 1,000, I want to say.
Ah,
But
it's all-
maybe-
it's all good.
Maybe right around there,
It's all
but,
good. Okay.
hey, any little bit helps,
Yeah,
right?
good to get rid of funds that
Buy
are
some desk or
inactive.
something. Buy some desk or something with it.
I'm thinking desk or carpet or, little wall things or putting a door in. Never mind, we got it spent, so just.
Okay, Tom, you have anything?
No, I don't think so, I'm good.
Mister?
Yes, sir, I do. We're gonna make this real quick. Fee committee, okay? Fee committee met the other day, and it has been requested that we, this kind of falls under Brandon's, this one does under Brandon, increase the cost of a driveway permit from $20 to $50. The fee committee approved that request, so I'm bringing it up to the board.
Motion for approval?
Why don't I make the motion to approve the driveway
Second.
permit from 20 to
Got
50?
a motion?
Second.
Got a second? Any further discussions? All those in favor, raise your right hand.
Effective
Opposed, the
when?
same.
Probably should do an amendment to the ordinance for the highway specifications to make it official, because that's where
Well,
the $20 fee is established.
This goes back now to, does this one go back to you now or to Nathan?
No, that goes in the highway fund.
Yeah, okay, okay.
So you gotta present us,
So you and Jana work on what date you want it done, okay?
and if we gotta sign an amendment,
Okay, the next one.
get it here.
You had talked about, you know, comparing with others. Our buggy plates. Our buggy plates, we've let them go too long, and we need to bring them up to speed. And our recommendation is $60 buggy plate fee with a, if you're late, it goes to $70. And that's consistent with, say, LaGrange and some of the others with Amish buggies. And you're buying new plates, right, kiddo? We're getting new plates in.
'Cause we only have four
There'll be more full-size plate, and they'll have a sticker. Every year, they'll get a sticker that says that, so. I'd like to make a motion that we approve the buggy plate charge.
Got a motion, a second. Any further discussions? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same.
That's all I got, thank you.
And we've gone through everything that I had, so I don't have anything. Anything? What you got?
Talk to me about this $200,000+ of taxpayer money that we're going to spend on broadband internet to bring it up to rail connection.
Well, the 200,000 is going to be through redevelopment. It'll be TIF funds. It'll be money that is paid into the taxes for that area.
Do you understand TIF funds?
Except I thought he said that he was getting a 100% tax abatement instead of a TIF district or something.
Well, okay, what they were going to do to bring that in is, like Wabash did they call it a spider TIF, and it's only on the wire, the equipment that they use to bring that in. And it costs, to get a TIF area going, it cost over $50,000, $60,000 worth of attorney's fees to do that. So rather than do that, we said, why spend that extra $60,000? Let's go ahead and just do it as a tax abatement for the 10 years. And it's the same amount of money. And it wasn't a lot of money, and $30,000, $40,000 over the 10-year period is what it was of tax savings that they were having on that.
Okay, so where again is the couple $100,000 that he was asking?
That's coming from redevelopment, and redevelopment, when the TIF area, there's a large TIF area to the east, where all the industrial area is back there. Okay, back in 1997 or in the early 90s, they created a TIF district. So there was a base level, whatever taxes were being paid at that time, the county gets all that. Anything that was built after that, then the county would get, or the TIF area, or the redevelopment would get those monies to put in the infrastructure for new, like Rail Connect out there, and do anything to help with
Repair the
redevelopment.
roads and
Yeah,
all that.
sewers, all the sewers were paid by redevelopment, bringing it out there, water. So it's for improvement of that area, to promote that area. And
So it's paid for by the
those tax,
folks or businesses or whatever that live in that area?
yes, anything that was built after that 90, right around the 1990s.
SDI.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
The only thing the county gets out of SDI currently is whatever taxes were paid for land on that piece of property when they came in. And the whole idea is to plow money back into that area. And it doesn't last forever, but it's a long time though.
So will residences along that route that it's coming in, will they have?
They'll be able to hook on if it's,
They'll be able to hook on to fiber
yeah.
optic somehow if it happens to go past?
Yes, and anybody, and they're going to be working with REMC after that too, that any place that REMC is, they've already got a contract with them to run it on the lines actually, instead of going underground there. So,
Hook to their poles.
yeah, so anybody that's, yeah.
Yeah, but
Well,
it
and-
is
and they-
truly an economic development thing. I mean,
Yeah.
it really needs to be, we gotta make sure these businesses
Yeah,
can
but
move
that,
data.
but that 100% abatement is, it sounds, when you heard that, it was set up a red flag, didn't it?
Well, yes, but the bigger red flag was a couple $100,000 of money that, okay, there's one segment of society that's gonna benefit from us, are the rest of us all paying for it? Where, how does that
Oh, it's
fit?
coming
Yeah.
from that area.
That's what I was,
Yeah.
And another thing you gotta keep in the back of your head, you live in the Columbus City School District. And this redevelopment fund is making a big donation to the new high school.
Yeah.
To benefit all residents in this area.
Because the bond is coming off of SDI. Actually, redevelopment didn't get anything off of SDI until they helped pay for the bond issue for SDI. Now that bond is being paid off, and that additional monies, instead of hoarding that money or doing something that we don't need to do, redevelopment has said, okay, let's help the school system out. We need a decent school system. So they're paying out $2.5 million a year for the next 3 years, 18, 19, and 20. They're paying the bond off, the old bond, so that there wouldn't be two bond issues for the school, and so there wouldn't be very much additional taxes paid by the taxpayers at that point. It would be just the same as the old bond, the new bond is coming on, so it's
You're
within.
helping, Union Township Fire too, aren't you?
Yeah, and $120,000 of that every year goes towards the fire department for Union Township.
Because again, they're in the TIF district.
right.
No other fire department.
Yeah, and they gotta cover those huge businesses out
And
there.
there's a lot of regulations as to where that money can be spent, and it has to be to help that area, and it has to be contiguous to that area that you can help that area, but it's got to be used for that TIF area, whether it be utilities or, every,
Roads or sewers
Yeah.
or water or
Yeah.
on, like,
The information I was looking for.
And let me tell you, no, I won't tell you this. I'll tell you this afterwards.
Okay.
and I'm on the redevelopment, so I think it's a great program. I think it's going to be changing in the next 3 to 5 years or even sooner because of the monies that are going to be coming in from SDI. My thought is, why hoard that money if we can use it for other things? So we're looking at that too.
And then that answered most of my question, but I thought at one point that there was 2 years of 50,000 a year that was out of seated.
That's going to be out of seated.
But that's still designated to the TIF situation no matter what.
Well, and that will help with the RMC taking it on to the rest of the county. We're looking at getting it to as much of the county, and it isn't just limited to REMC. They're trying to work with I&M, and they're working with the Columbia City Electric right now, too, to be able to we want to get internet out to all the county.
Well, that steps into then the other thing I was going to bring up, because we've got that very weird thing that goes on in the county, I'm not really talking about the city proper, but in the county, because, well, where Joanne lives, for instance, she's on I&M, about half a month compared to what I pay on REMC. Now, I've always been on REMC, and I understand that's what happened a century ago to get electricity out into the rural areas, and I know the history of it and how it works, and I'm not, that's one of the things you pay to live in the country.
Right.
But I was wondering, because there's that disparity, okay, you fiber optic possibly come to me, well, it doesn't seem, I guess to me, that it is quite right that it would leave somebody without it if they weren't REMC customers. I guess you could sit around and feel, well, don't want anybody else to get it because I'm an REMC customer and they're not, but that's not how I think.
Yeah, but that's not the way it is, that they'll be working with I&M and and I know Columbia City Utilities is going to be working with them too. But they just have to work out deals, and REMC really they needed to use it too, so REMC presented to the city and the county and said, we'll help with that because otherwise it would have been a build-out, it would have cost us to do what we wanted to do in the county.
Well, and I think that's the right way to go. Like I say, I'm not saying why. I really don't ever take the approach that, well, I pay this and so, and you don't, so I ought to be the only one to get it. I think if whatever we can do to make it best across the board for everyone, we ought to do it.
And that's what we're trying to do. Metronet is if you go to Wabash County or even Huntington County and you talk to those people, they love Metronet down there because it's reasonable, and they have the television service, they have the phone service, they have the internet, and it's fast. It's fiber optic.
Have a better reputation than Comcast and Gray.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Joanne and I can both tell you that we're not deeply thrilled with what we get provided
Oh.
by what we pay for the DSL from CenturyLink.
Oh, I've got CenturyLink and,
But that's the best we got at this time.
That's the best we've got.
Okay, we'll go the other way then. I've got Verizon, and, I'm just sitting there. I don't care what the test speed says, I can run a speed test anytime I want to, and it'll tell me it's up around 13. But I'm telling you, it's more like 2. I don't care what the speed test tells you. So, the last few days, it's just been driving me crazy. I think it's anywhere, probably.
Well, if you don't like what you're paying, sign up for a business account.
Oh, my, yeah.
thousands of dollars.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm at times not as concerned about what I'm paying as the sad excuse we have for service. My closest neighbor and I collaborate on an awful lot of things simply because he's a very bright guy, and if I got a problem, I call him and say, think this over with me, and he does the same thing. And we have DSL through CenturyLink. Well, when you go down Raber Road and you get between 800 and 900 south on Raber Road, you've got 2 of the metal boxes that the phone company has that comes up out of the ground where they're making the connections inside. And we know almost to a day when the mice have rebuilt their hotel in those boxes.
And they certainly do.
And I am not fibbing or creating a tale. All of a sudden, my internet will start cutting out, and I'll call Walt and I'll say, is your internet cutting out? Yeah, it sucks. And we'll both contact CenturyLink so that 2 contacts happen. And what do? They come out there and they open up the box and they clean out the mouse and rat hotel, and then the wires that have been corroded by the mouse and rat debris, they'll have to reconnect them and put everything. Then the internet's pretty good for a while.
You're exactly right.
I talked about the telephone pedestal thing. This is before Brandon's time. Michael was here at the time, and Verizon, could be Frontier. I really think it was still back in the Verizon days. It didn't make any difference. They came to the county and they wanted $17,000 for damage the county highway truck plow did to their pedestal box at 600 North and 900 East. And it's like, folks, if you go out and look at the pedestal box, it's like 1 foot, it's like 12 inches in the curve of the road. We said, no, move your pedestal box, because how are we supposed to plow and not take that pedestal box out? It's impossible, so, yeah.
And it's a situation, the way I feel about CenturyLink, it's a situation where they kind of picked this whole network up. Of course, I know the history of it clear back to when it was United Telephone, and United Telephone only existed 2 places in the world, and that was about 3 counties in Ohio and about 2 counties here in Indiana. But they picked it up as an add-on, but it isn't like they really want to plow back some money and make it the best. I can't help but believe that they have a way to seal those if they wanted to seal them.
Oh.
But it'd cost them a little bit, you know.
Don't you also look at them and say, is that not the oldest technology you could possibly find? Wire on wire. Wire on wire. You go in there and it's like, oh my gosh, that's the oldest technology in the book.
Well, and then they get to do DSL because they ran
We haven't-
more wires.
we haven't,
in every house they had an extra 2, well, they never ended up using them. So now they run the data lines on those, you know. It's-
Yeah.
Anything will be better than that.
Yeah.
Call for the
Motion adjourned.
motion and second. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Okay, can I ask a question?
Sure.